So yeah, I watched a contrapoints, I watched a contrapoints video yesterday, which was the Tiffany Tumbles video. Tiffany Tumbles is quite directly based on Blaire White. There was a lot of people saying that a lot of it came from this debate. I was kind of remembering other things that things seem to come from. Thank you, Bonghole. Thank you so much. And what was it? Yeah, I've never actually watched this. I was a huge ContraPoints fan back in the day. This would have been, 7 years ago? When was this? 2017. I was possibly listening to it by then. I'm not entirely sure. I might have been a bit late to the party in that sense. Oh, we've got Milo Stewart, we've got Riley J. Dennis, Judith Butler. Wait, hang on. So Blaire White is people mentioned. Where's ContraPoints? Oh, you're not even famous enough for that shit. You got beaten out by Milo Stewart. Who the fuck is Milo Stewart anymore? I don't know what the fuck Milo Stewart is doing. Riley J. Dennis plays football in fucking Australia. Nice. That's instantly cheered me up. Amazing. Yeah, so we got a heated debate with genderqueer feminists, that being ContraPoints, 7 years ago. I'm just interested. Let's see. I've never watched this before. I used to be afraid of opinions that didn't match my own. I listened to what a lot of people were saying about Blaire White. I saw the clips that everyone finds contentious, and I ran with it, which I shouldn't have. I should have really given more people a chance and actually listened to their own shit instead of assuming that because this person is the conservative and I'm not, that I must dislike them for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. Like I said, part of this is atoning for my own shit, for sure. Yeah, let's have a look.
Hello, we are live. Okay, so this is a live debate with YouTuber ContraPoints. ContraPoints is a feminist YouTuber, and we have a lot of disagreements on.
If I had to speculate on Milo Stewart, they're not called Milo anymore, and they're probably desperately hoping people don't notice that the facial features are the same. But hey, I don't know.
Trans issues, a number of issues, but today we're going to be sticking to mostly trans issues and several criticisms that he has of my channel and my presence.
He transphobic? I'm joking.
Online. And introduce yourself.
By the way, what were they thinking with that fucking look? What were you thinking? Yeah, Shiwan has the moderator.
Contra.
Yes, hello.
There we go. Not loving the look, but hey, I don't know. She was the shit mod. I guess I'll find out.
I am a YouTuber who does videos mostly about gender and about race, and I have talked a lot of shit about Blaire on my channel, so it's very nice of her to have me on to discuss some of that.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. And then moderating, of course, I'm sure you guys recognize the face, is Shiwan Head.
Hi. Hello. So I'm friends with both these people and I like both their content. So they figured that I would be an okay mod and we'll see how that goes. So
yeah. So June will be here just to make sure that there's not too much interrupting going on and that both of us.
I bet Milo's a trad wife making goat cheese. Yeah, quite possibly. Fucking hell. Listen, if I spent my time in a past life doing the kind of shit on the internet that Milo Stewart was doing, that's what I'd be doing. Finding the furthest away fucking thing from what I used to do, and then doing that and hoping no one ever fucking recognizes me. Jesus Christ.
Us can get our points out and articulate.
Blaire looking rough. You think so? I think she looks nice. Everyone is so young in this. Yeah. 2017, innit? Jesus Christ. I wasn't even post-op then.
Really what we're saying. And yeah, so she's friends with both of us. So to everyone who thinks that this is a biased moderator, she likes us both. So I'll start. I kind of just wrote a little something about my intentions for the stream.
Go ahead.
So I wanted the stream to happen because you seem to be one of my largest critics. You've done a video about me and I've seen a lot of tweets about me on your end. You claim that I have indefensible views.
By the way, I respect Blaire a lot for even doing this. There's not really any people reaching out to me why don't we have a conversation after I've spoken about them, which I would welcome from anyone, quite honestly. I would be happy to defend my views and defend the things that I've said about someone, for sure. Absolutely.
That I'm a bully, that my audience are Nazis, and that you take issue with the fact that I've mocked trans people on my channel. You've also said that I have an oppressive mindset.
There's like an alternate universe where some other version of ContraPoints is going to come at me with this shit. The amount of people that whine about me like making fun of someone for how they look or something, like just get over it, man. Just get over it. Who cares?
And so I kind of just wanted you to go over a little bit, elaborate on your issues with me and my channel to start with.
Yes. So I'll say, to begin with, before really getting to the topic of it,
I'll say one thing. ContraPoint sounds extremely nervous. It is actually very nerve-wracking having these kind of conversations. I know how it feels. I'm not gonna judge too much for like the stuttering and all that kind of shit, because I'm kind of the same, honestly. Like, I understand kind of the anxiety of it, especially when you haven't done much of this kind of shit. When I see that line up, I think one will protect you, the other three will fight you. Oh yeah. I mean, Blaire has like guns and shit. It's I know where I'm going.
the trans stuff, I kind of wanted to ask you, we can delay this for a second if you want, but I'm curious to know about sort of just what being transgender even means to you. Because before I start criticizing your view, I feel like maybe you've changed recently from a position where you used to kind of say that being trans was a kind of biological feature of neurology and psychology. And lately, you've said a few times, you've characterized being transgender as impersonation or caricature. And
I agree with that. I've been trans for how long? It is impersonation to a certain extent. You can't get away from that. You kind of have to be like imitating the other sex. That's just how it is. How do you not? Like, you get non-binary people who kind of claim that's not what they're doing, but it's like, I don't know, they just end up some kind of weird amalgamation of both. So you kind of are a little bit in a way.
And you don't have to answer that now, but
Contra is just pathetic now as then. I think that I have a lot more respect for this ContraPoints than the one that we have now. Because the one we have now got cancelled by the f***ing mob. And then turned around and begged for more, like sold out to them again, which is extremely sad to see someone go down that route, because it just f***s over everyone, really.
I just want to say that to me is a viewpoint that, I mean, if that's how you experience your gender, it's not at all it's not at all appropriate for me to say that you should do your gender differently, or that you should adopt a different view towards yourself.
Yeah, this is the problem with like the woke shit. You should be able to like make broad statements about like gender and how people deal with this kind of shit.
But that view of trans people as impersonators or as caricatures is, to me, almost the definition of transphobia. And
ooh, how so? How so? To me, it's just fucking obvious. We can accept that there are unflattering ways of being trans, or we can complain about transphobia.
So, to me, you publicly advocating this view, not just as a description of who you are and how you feel about your own gender, but as a kind of thing that you insist that all trans people are, or otherwise they're delusional. To me, that is damaging to trans people, and it is.
So we haven't really substantiated transphobia. We're saying damaging to damaging? Like, I'm sorry. Was there a different reason that I had my parts rearranged to look like a vagina? Is there a different reason why I took HRT to grow breasts like a woman? Was there a different reason that I've been very into like feminizing myself? It's because in some way it is imitation. It just is. Like, if you're offended by that description, then that's kind of a you thing. No offense. Isn't Contra supposedly skinwalking someone, or someone skinwalking Contra? People say that Philosophy Tube skinwalks Contra. Like, people kind of see the whole Contra did characters in their videos. Philosophy Tube started doing characters in their videos. ContraPoints transitions, so does Philosophy Tube. ContraPoints has bisexual lighting, suddenly so does Philosophy Tube. ContraPoints stops having characters, Philosophy Tube stops having like that kind of thing. Like, there's probably something to it. I mean, it was a massive transitioning was a huge moneymaker for ContraPoints. She made so much money off of transitioning. I don't care if someone finds that offensive or whatever. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. I can understand like Philosophy Tube seeing that. And it's interesting that apparently Philosophy Tube came out somewhere after the coming out as a lesbian thing. So, hey. Obviously, I don't blanket agree with ContraPoints, but seeing her be genuinely inarticulate is surprising and hilarious. I feel like ContraPoints, whenever she's like off script, she kind of comes across that way. When I watched the Matt Bernstein thing, she sounded like a bit of a moron to me. I've seen the odd like, there was at least one like conversation like she and Destiny had back when I used to watch both of those people a lot. And like, she's not especially interesting to listen to when she's off script, you know what I mean? Transitioning is inherently skinwalky. I don't know if I agree with that, but I agree that it inherently means that you're imitating something. You know what I mean? I, as a trans woman, if we're calling myself that, I don't really anymore. There's a degree of imitation. Like, I wear women's clothes, I grew breasts and had my stuff rearranged. It's in service of imitating women. Like, let's just be honest and real about it for once.
Basic reinforcement of a lot of non-trans people's transphobic beliefs.
That doesn't matter for shit. You're reinforcing people's beliefs. Well, okay, so what? So what?
So that is sort of the core criticism. And then the bullying accusation has to do with the way you go about
Can we address the first one first so that we don't lose people?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think you have a few misconceptions about my views on transgenderism. I think that when I say that you are, assuming the characteristics of a woman, I don't mean that you are an impersonator, like you're a clown, like you're...
I do. I think it's impersonation. I'll go there. I don't give a shit. Someone can fucking debate me on that shit if they want. That's what I think.
Act in that sense. I mean that when you undergo hormone therapy, when you consume synthetic hormones, when you undergo surgeries to alter your bones, or you implant something in yourself to attain a body feature that is biologically impossible otherwise, that is imitating body parts that are biologically impossible for you. So for me, it's more of a stepping outside of myself, being able to concede the fact that, of course, I am biologically male, but in the pursuit of my own happiness, I choose to transition to assume characteristics that are not natural for me.
But in what sense is
I don't think that.
In what sense is that really biologically?
Stephanie Wynn. I do not know who that is. Do you not know who that is? Wait, no, it seems like the opposite. Mary-Kate Delvey? I don't know. This might actually be kind of amazing. I don't know. I know who Mary-Kate Delvey is. Anyway, maybe I'll watch her sometime. Who knows?
Impossible. I mean, even if you
it's biologically impossible in the sense that.
But in what sense is
I don't think that. But in the pursuit of my own happiness, I choose to transition to assume characteristics that are not natural for.
I mean, this is very obvious
for me.
But in what sense is
I don't think that.
In what sense is that really biologically impossible? I mean, even if you're...
Well, it's not natural, is what she's saying. It's not natural.
If you...
It's biologically impossible in the sense that, think of, breast implants. If you don't have breast implants and you are a male to female transgender person, then unless you had, a ton of breast growth from hormones, you're, assuming a characteristic that is not naturally occurring on you. Taking synthetic hormones for female secondary sex characteristics to appear on a male.
But the hormones, no matter what sex you are assigned at birth, they work through the same biological pathways. Your body has the capacity to adopt, to have this, to grow the secondary. The hormones, no matter what sex you are assigned at birth, they work through the same biological pathways. Your body has the capacity to adopt, to have this, to grow the secondary sexual.
Well, like to an extent, but I mean, we're the same species. Is it surprising? Like there's commonality in the design between male and female humans, of course.
Characteristics of either gender, and it's simply a matter of activating that through hormones.
Well, yeah, that's why I said otherwise.
As for the idea of implants, I mean, plenty of...
Like, what are we doing? Trying to remove the difference between males and females? Like, yeah, it has to be done artificially. Otherwise, it'll never happen. It's so obvious.
Cis women do that too. So to me, it's not. But to characterize it, why is it?
I mean, a cis woman would get, say, breast implants for a very different reason to a trans woman, no?
Impersonation of a different gender as opposed to just expression of the gender that you are.
I don't think I've ever called it impersonation.
I
would. It's impersonation.
I've ever called it
on Twitter.
Impersonation, imitation, copying. How many more do you want?
You've called it impersonation, but I think you used that term in your debate with Lacey, your caricature, which is, I mean, you've suggested that you think trans women are not real women.
They aren't real women. How are they? You don't think trans women are real women? Like, oh man, oh jeez, oh no.
Again, you just used the word imitation a second ago. So
I prefer in my life when I am discussing transgender issues to differentiate between trans women and women because they are different. You can recognize both and it doesn't diminish one or the other. Especially
so I can recognize that there are certain situations where you would want to distinguish between the two, especially when it comes to healthcare, where there's going to be different healthcare needs. But socially and psychologically, I don't see what purpose there is for making that distinction.
Well,
and psychologically, there's
socially and psychologically. Well, like, how can you like psychologically, you still are what you are. What point is this? You say bad at debating. I will, like I said, I can tell this person is very nervous and so on. And I've been there myself. Like, I wouldn't call myself a debater. I've had the odd conversation like this. And yeah, it's nerve-wracking for sure.
I don't see what purpose there is for making that distinction.
Well, okay.
Purpose socially. I mean, you could say there's a problem with allowing males and females in the same spaces where females might want a separate space, for example. There's one social potential issue. And it's not like none of this shit wasn't happening in 2017, you know what I mean?
Socially, we're on the internet, right? When we talk about these things, we're often going into the nitty gritty of things. We're talking technically and we're talking, trying to be as objective as possible. Of course, in my life, socially, it's completely inconsequential. There's no reason for me to ever concede unless it's, a doctor situation that I'm biologically male. However, if someone is questioning, I mean, very well, there are
I am a master debater. That is very true.
people out there, there are YouTubers specifically as well, who advocate for this idea that trans women are not.
I like to debate many people at once. So in a way, I like to mass debate.
Biologically male. I mean, that's just false. It's just false. And so when we're talking about these specifically as well, who advocate for this idea that trans women are not biologically male. I mean, that's just false. It's just false. And so when we're talking about we're having conversations online, it's worth speaking technically and it's worth mentioning. I don't go to the grocery store and someone calls me ma'am. I don't correct them and be like, well, I'm actually biologically male. So it's kind of appropriate, but not really. Like, no, that's not how it works. But we're talking about things technically.
So I guess two ways to respond to that. One is that if you do...
I always thought the reason why they need to be called women is to get their surgeries paid by insurance. Now, it's to make you feel better. The reason that you get the surgeries paid by insurance because of the gender dysphoria. It's the same thing. Like, you want people to call you a she and call you a woman because it feels better to you, ultimately. Like, if I were to state a preference, yeah, I probably would rather be regarded as a woman because I just feel that way. I know I'm not one. I don't expect anyone to. You know what I mean?
Acknowledge, as I acknowledge, that you are a woman in every meaningful everyday sense.
Technically.
So I guess two ways to respond to that. One is that if you do acknowledge, as I acknowledge, that you are a woman in every meaningful everyday sense of the term.
What, like having a penis? In every meaningful way, this person is a woman, so they have a penis. I don't know about this, Chief.
Why use this language about not being a real woman or about being an imitator? And the other response...
Because she's male? And she acknowledges that instead of pretending otherwise? And confounding people with weird offense when someone says otherwise. Yeah, a woman has to have mastectomy from cancer, doesn't get the implants. Oh, and trans people can do. Yeah, I understand that, yeah. It shouldn't really go that way, I guess.
Is that in what sense are you fully biological male if you've undergone hormone replacement therapy?
I mean, biological male, that's like such a wide category, but it includes anyone ultimately who is male. Like, when you're talking about biological males, you're just talking about males. Lots of things. The only thing I regret is not voting for you. Yeah, I really wish that I'd emigrated to America in time to vote for you. Absolutely. I really would love to live in America.
In some senses, you have sexual characteristics of a woman. So why insist on like this born male at birth and like
why insist on the truth?
Can never be changed thing when in fact
why insist on the truth?
You can and do change your biology.
You can change your biology. How does that make you a woman?
You can alter certain aspects of your biology, but you can't alter the fact that you were born male and will die male. That's just is what it is. Again, we're talking technically. So you're saying, why do you insist on this? Well, it's because there's a lot of people that I encounter online when I have these debates and these conversations that would never concede that trans women are biologically male. And so it's worth stating. Ultimately, and that's why...
What does it mean to be biologically male?
Well, to be male. But a biological male is a male. Oh, man.
I mean, again, I suspect that the direction this is going is going to be back to just like, oh, that's what the doctor assigned you at birth, or oh, you have XY chromosomes. But as I discussed in my most recent video about gender, this biological binary is actually not all that straightforward of a distinction, especially when you...
No, it kind of is. Like the biological binary. I mean, you're a female if you produce large gametes, or should be producing large gametes. You followed the pathway you did. You overwhelmingly would have had XX chromosomes and they made you a certain way. You can take the other argument for what makes you a male. It's not difficult.
Get to, someone who, if you have XY chromosomes, but you're taking estrogen, you're taking hormones, and you develop female secondary sex characteristics.
Female secondary sex developed characteristics. So what's a female secondary sex characteristic? You could argue maybe breasts are, but a man can get breasts just by eating too much. You know what I mean?
Yes, I mean you can, like I said.
A woman can get a male secondary sex characteristic, that being facial hair, by having a condition like PCOS. Still a woman.
Why say that you're biologically male?
Because I am. You're born with male chromosomes. You're born with a penis. You're born with a scrotum. You're biologically male. I'm in many ways, I believe in biological realism, but I'm also not, a biological absolutist, or what's the term? I forget the
Essentialist
term, but I don't believe that there are things you can't change or that you should be a slave to your biology. Obviously not. I've taken upon myself to change things in the pursuit of my own happiness. But if there are people online that I'm arguing with who are insisting that trans women are not biologically male, I'm going to correct them because they are.
I mean, it just seems to me that biology is more complicated than either you're male or either you're female. I think...
What? No, it's not. How so?
There's... Male picks out a cluster of attributes like...
I hate this. No. Male overwhelmingly comes from your role in procreation, or what your role should be. Say you're infertile, or you had an accident and part of your healing necessitated taking your penis off. You know what I'm saying?
Your chromosomes, your hormones, your primary and secondary sexual anatomy. And it seems to me that once you've changed some of that, you're less of a biological male. At the very...
This doesn't make any sense. Like, let's say you take on a bunch of these secondary female characteristics, and then you go and have sex with a woman and you get her pregnant. Why did you get her pregnant? Why did you still fulfill the biological role of a male when you're not fully male? Yet you still did that. It doesn't make sense.
At least less of a biological male than you were. So I don't see... I feel that the insistence on binary terminology actually doesn't
We're insisting that sex is a spectrum without ever actually showing that sex is a spectrum.
Clarify things, but I also think this is maybe not the most important point here.
It isn't the most important point, but I will say it actually is worth clarifying. You go to a doctor and you're looking to transition, and an endocrinologist, you're going to say, I'm going from male to female. If that's the case, you're going to say, I'm going from female to male.
Yes.
You can't say, I'm going from kind of male to kind of female, so give me like a little bit of hormones, but not a lot. Like, you go from one end to the other. That's just life. That's how it is. And if you're trans, that's what it is. So,
but if it's, again, if it's male, why continue insisting that you're always and forever a male? I mean,
biologically speaking,
I can completely understand why you don't want that to be true.
And if you're trans, that's what it is. So,
but if it's, again, if it's male, why continue insisting that you're always and forever a male?
You really don't want that to be true, and it is. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. It is what it is.
I mean,
biologically speaking, this is. Let me try to summarize this the best that I can. I think this is the best way to explain how I view my existence and trans people's existence. Like I said, I believe in biological realism. I believe that if you're born male, you die male. It just so happens that.
Can I be blunt? If you like to wear a tutu and suck dick, you're just gay. I mean, if you're a guy, yeah, totally.
You and I live in a Western society that affords us certain freedoms. Some of those freedoms include hormones and therapy and things that you can change. And, you have that autonomy within yourself. And we also live in a society that most people, the majority of people, are kind enough to where if they see someone who is male to female or transsexual, they're just going to refer to them as a woman because that's how it works. But there's a difference between people affording kindness to you and referring to you, by a pronoun that's not that of your biological sex, and you actually changing something. No, technically, you cannot change your sex. You can live as the other sex socially, and that's the point.
Contra has academic brain rot where everything must be deconstructed and problematized. Yeah, I guess.
So it seems that you do then make a distinction between sex and gender, where sex is biological and gender is social or psychological. Yeah.
No. I don't separate gender and sex in that way. I know a lot of people.
See, I do. I disagree with you here. I think it's worth having like something that expresses what the kind of social and cultural aspects of sex are, for sure. Because it's very different. Like, there's things that are masculine, there's things that are feminine. But it's very important that we don't use that to then inform what's higher up the chain, that being sex, because gender is derived from sex. And what people seem to think they can do is change a bunch of secondary sex characteristics, take on a bunch of gendered things, and then decide that they've changed their sex or altered their sex in any way, which you can't do.
People do, and I'm sure we could go.
But then but if you don't separate them, then how can you be a woman but a biological male?
I didn't say you could be a woman and a biological male. I think that the term trans woman, is perfect, and that's a word that represents.
Yeah, because the problem is, all these people believe that trans woman is a category of woman. It's not. Trans woman is a type of man.
Represents a person's social standing. I don't think that means that, sex and gender are completely different. I don't think that means that someone's sex can be male and someone's gender can be a woman.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like preposterous. You're not a female gender and a male person. Like, that wouldn't make any fucking sense.
I think that
it seems to me that the concept of being transgender, as it's usually understood, is just not something that you believe in. I mean, and maybe that's the case, since you do seem to prefer.
Not just something you believe in. What?
Something that you believe you are. No, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it starts from identifying, for sure.
Sexual. Yeah. Well, so being the most conventional understanding of what it means to be transgender is that your gender is the one that you psychologically identify with, and your sex is the one.
Your gender is the one you psychologically identify with. Like, that doesn't make any sense. If your gender is just whatever you decide it is, then what the fuck even is your gender? I personally, I don't know that I subscribe to the belief that anyone has a gender. I think the things are gendered. I think gender is more of a concept. and is not really something that is innate to anyone or that one can take on and make themselves. Like, I don't know that I think people have genders. I think you have your sex, you have gendered things, you know what I mean? So yeah, you can be a male, you can do what someone like I am doing, you can take on like gendered traits that are more feminine, but that doesn't change your sex. And I don't see that I have a gender of any sort. Like, I just kind of do what I do, you know what I mean?
One that you're assigned at birth. And that's obviously something that's disputed and debated a lot, but it's the most conventional understanding of it.
But that's actually not the definition of gender dysphoria, which is the...
I don't even think that's a conventional understanding of it. I think that's something that people have been pushing for a decent while, but if it was what was conventionally understood, then I don't know. I think the trans population would be a lot more than fucking 1% or whatever it is.
But it's the most conventional understanding of it.
But that's actually not the definition of gender dysphoria, which is the mechanism in which someone actually identifies as something that they aren't.
Yeah, I don't think gender dysphoria is that either. Gender dysphoria literally is just unhappiness with your gender or sex.
Gender dysphoria is binary. Gender dysphoria is defined as a persistent and strong identification with the opposite sex, not gender.
It's not binary. I mean, so this is bringing in the non-binary issue, but according to the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, and according to the APA...
Okay, here we go. Appeal to authority. Well, these people say that. That doesn't mean that those people are correct. And by the way, this wouldn't really be a criticism I could make back then, but nowadays much more so. This is an extremely like American-centric view, because we're talking about like the APA will maybe mention people like WPATH, US Path, like all of those kind of fairly America-centric organizations. I guess WPATH is meant to be worldwide, but isn't it full of like Americans, like Marcy Bowers, American, you know what I mean? That kind of people. Whereas a lot of the people in countries like this one are really turning their back on that kind of thing. And then the other thing is, what happens when things change? What happens when things change? Like, you're no longer able to use that like appeal to authority, you know what I mean? Well, they're both American. Yeah, but the point is, trans people don't just exist in America. So why would we just listen to what Americans think and then list only American like people, organizations or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it's all very well saying, oh, well, the APA says this. Well, the APA is one organization in one country.
Both APAs, American Psychological and American Psychiatric Association, there is non-binary dysphoria and non-binary or gender non-conformity.
It's meaningless. I mean, I don't know. Is there non-binary dysphoria? I think dysphoria really is just unhappiness. And gender dysphoria is that applied to your gender or sex.
Is recognized. So I don't know why you insist that it's a strictly binary thing, as if...
Oh, why would you insist it when the APA says otherwise? Why do you have to agree with the fucking APA? Why do you have to agree with anyone? Isn't that the whole point of thinking for yourself?
That were the psychiatric consensus, when the psychiatric consensus is the opposite.
Because gender nonconformity is not the same thing as gender dysphoria or being transgender. Everyone to some extent has some level of gender nonconformity. It's not the same thing.
Maybe so, but there are varying degrees of gender nonconformity, and some of it is bad enough that it warrants, I think...
The nonconformity is bad? No. Why would you like pathologize nonconformity? That's bizarre. We're talking about dysphoria, like unhappiness, being unhappy with your sex. Nonconformity is not the same as happiness or unhappiness.
An additional label, and the American Psychological Association anyway has decided that it's bad enough that it warrants inclusion in its very definition of what it means to be gender.
So the term so the term non-binary is in DSM?
I don't know. I think it is in the DSM. I'm not 100% sure, but it's in literature that's produced by the American Psychiatric Association and American Psychological Association. I mean, it's widely accepted in psychiatric practice now.
Well, other people accept it.
Now that there can be people who are not gender binary.
What's widely accepted is there are people who are gender nonconforming. There are people who, struggle with their gender. That doesn't mean that non-binary is included. Non-binary is a term that, everyone says this as a joke. It was literally spawned off of Tumblr.
But that's simply not correct.
Everyone says this as a joke. It was literally spawned off of Tumblr.
Are we wrong? How many fucking non-binary identities literally were coined on Tumblr? That isn't, you know, why would you talk about the APA when we're talking about shit that was like coined on Tumblr? It's like intellectual anti-intellectualism almost.
Where
I mean, but that's simply not correct. I mean, it's in, so non-binary, I believe, the dysphoria, non-binary dysphoria, I believe, is in the DSM.
I even know, we don't even use this term anymore, like non-binary dysphoria. Oh, nice, we've got an AI overview. Listen, this is Google. Google is fucking captured as well. I'm sure of it. Okay, I know, waste of time.
I'll check for everybody.
Again, like if you look at like, for instance, I have in front of me it's the guidelines for psychological practice, which
More appeal to authority. Do you have to agree with the APA?
Transgender and gender nonconforming people. This is from the APA. The first sentence is transgender and gender nonconforming people are those who have a gender identity that is not fully aligned with their sex assigned at birth. I mean, the wording is specific.
What's a gender identity? Is it just something you call yourself? It's something you just call yourself, isn't it? Effectively, that's all it is.
Specifically designed
but it's not non-binary. Non-binary, I mean,
To be fair, I keep going around identifying as a mule deer. That's basically the same as the attack helicopter thing. There's room for creativity, I think.
maybe you have a different definition of non-binary than every other person on the internet who talks about it, but that's not what non-binary is. I mean,
well, to me, non-binary would be gender nonconforming in a way that doesn't specifically identify with the other sex.
So it's just about identifying. So it's just something you call yourself. There we go.
So an agender person is non-binary. A person who's gender fluid or genderqueer is non-binary.
that's not the same thing as gender nonconformity. When it comes to diagnosing people in general, they look at, the person not conforming to their gender. That doesn't mean they're non-binary. I think that's completely different.
Oh, is it Judith Butler's fault? How nice. How nice. Hirschfeld. Again, how nice. How nice. Stuck a womb in a man and killed him.
I think non-binary gender identities, they're completely fabricated. The reason the term is not in the DSM, it's not in scientific literature. I mean, I've looked extensively trying to find a biological basis for non-binary people, and it just isn't there.
Yeah. So what I have in front of me is it's a document called Guidelines. So an agender person is non-binary.
That's not the same thing as gender nonconformity. When it comes to diagnosing people in general, they look at, the person not conforming to their gender. That doesn't mean they're non-binary. I think that's completely different. I think non-binary gender identities, they're completely fabricated. The reason the term is not in the DSM, it's not in scientific literature. I mean, I've looked extensively trying to find a biological basis for non-binary people, and it just isn't.
Yeah, is everyone not kind of non-binary by this definition?
Isn't there?
Yeah. So what I have in front of me is it's a document called Guidelines for Psychological Practice. Guidelines for Psychological Practice of Transgender.
It's like, yeah, it feels a lot like we're just kind of pathologizing like gender nonconformity. Like, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Why? What were you on doing this?
And gender nonconforming people. Bullet point number 1 is Guideline 1. Psychologists understand that
This is like the gender equivalent of like tapping on the Bible. No, it says this. No, I know your argument, but in the Bible it says this.
There is a non-binary construct that allows.
The problem is they've been able to like get it into their fucking institutions, so it's kind of a different kind of thing, but
for a range of gender identities that a person's gender identity may not align with sex assigned at birth.
But
this is the American Psychological Association in 2015.
But you realize that transsexualism exists outside of the theory that gender is a social construct. Transsexualism is biological. So non-binary is not. So I don't have a problem with, you've mentioned before that you want to create a space in which you can identify as non-binary because that's where you feel comfortable. And I don't have any issue with that. I don't have an issue with people calling themselves.
Oh my God, this is amazing. They've got 2 examples from the 1700s and then we jump up to 1990. Fucking hell. And like all of this shit, this is all nonsense. This is all shit that probably was coined on Tumblr. Scholar Finn Enker. not all agender individuals may self-identify as. Wow, you're really earning your keep there. Amazing. Amazing.
Anything. I just don't like the insistence that non-binary genders, because it's not just non-binary gender identities. People make the case for non-binary genders being as many genders as you want.
I'm not sure I understand the relevance of the distinction between non-binary identity and non-binary gender.
Because, I mean, you can have as many gender identities.
Ooh, what's in that glass? Hang on.
A non-binary gender.
I can't tell.
Because, I mean, you can have as many gender identities as you want, but you can also talk about how the fact that there's multiple genders within between male and female, that just doesn't make sense. There's no biological basis for that. There just isn't.
But the argument is not that there is a biological basis for it. The argument is that insofar as we construe gender as a social and psychological
I've seen a lot of people.
Blaire.
What's the argument, basically? Well, if it's social and psychological, then you can just make up your own. Well, then it's just... and you're just making things up. Then it's just self-fan fiction at a certain point, is it not?
Let him finish.
I mean, so again, the argument is not, as people sometimes claim, and as sometimes advocates misleadingly suggest, the argument is not that gender non-binary people are intersex. I mean, there are also intersex people, but the point is that, like, I, for instance, am aware that biologically, like, I'm male in every significant sense, but...
God, you said it. I was worried.
So it's a matter of social and psychological.
Yeah, the moderator is shoe on head.
But if you're able, despite the fact that, from what I've understood from the things that you've said, you don't necessarily identify as male. Is that correct to say?
Not in the social and psychological sense. I understand that biologically, I am, of course, a
I don't psychologically identify. Like, what?
male.
Okay, so then
any anatomist would characterize me that way.
Right. So what is the contention with me conceding that I'm biologically male when you're able to do the same thing? I don't understand that. Like, that was such a big issue for you that I would call myself biologically male.
Because I mean, I don't want to like pry too much into the specifics of your transition, but you assume have taken hormones and done other things to alter your biology, which I have not. But also, I don't see, you seem to be you want to draw a sharp distinction between transsexuals and non-binary people, which seems to be based...
Because there is.
And I agree, but I don't see how you can make that distinction if you think that even transsexuals are biologically the same sex they are assigned at birth. That to me seems to erase the distinction.
No, it absolutely doesn't. Transsexualism is just a state of identifying with the opposite sex and taking it upon yourself to medically transition, alter yourself to appear as the opposite sex. You're not changing your sex.
Here's something I kind of wonder about. So like being trans has to kind of start from identifying as something. But does that have to define it? Like, if you identify as something and that's the start point, is that the only thing that defines it? Just because that's where you start? You know what I mean?
Even if you were to get a sex change, you're flipping your male.
This is what a human sounds like when a human spends too much time thinking about themselves. Yep, there is a lot of navel gazing present. You're spending that much time talking about your own identity, then something is kind of going wrong there, right?
Genitalia inside to resemble a vagina. You don't actually get a vagina. That's my point. You can't actually change it. You can merely live as and be recognized by perfect strangers as sex.
Well, you say that, Blaire, but couldn't you have a definition of vagina that also describes a horse? Anyway.
Does that make sense?
I sort of don't understand like, you can't actually have a vagina. Like, I don't understand like what this language is accomplishing apart.
Well, it's just truthful. Why does language have to accomplish anything? Are we going to get the whole, should language be prescriptive or descriptive? Is that what we're going to do again?
From invalidating the physical bodies of trans people.
Like I said, in real,
we're just putting like a motivation on here that, like, why do we have to like assert some motivation when someone is simply telling the truth? The truth should be enough motivation to tell the truth. There doesn't have to be anything to do with invalidating trans fucking bodies. Like, I don't know, man.
I sort of don't understand like, you can't actually have a vagina. Like, I don't understand like what this language is.
I don't understand you can't have a vagina. Well, it's truthful. That's all there is to it. We're choosing to try and apply some other kind of motivation to it, when maybe it's just the truth. I don't have a vagina. I had a surgical procedure. I don't have a vagina because of it. I have something that probably resembles a vagina more than a penis these days, but that doesn't make it a vagina.
Accomplishing, apart from invalidating.
What is it accomplishing? Like, there needs to be no other accomplishment than telling the truth. If you're telling the truth, that's all there is to it. It is itself in and of itself. It's just the truth. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Physical bodies of trans people.
Like I said, in real life, it probably doesn't accomplish much. But when we're sitting here talking about the technicalities.
Yeah, we're talking about stuff in concept. Like, why do we have to... I'm really starting to see where all the fucking... It's not pragmatism. What is it? Shit. What is it that all these idiots like Vorsh and people like that call themselves? Is that shit? Like the consequentialist. Well, I'm just interested in what has the most social utility. And it's like, okay. Call men women. That's got so much fucking utility, eh? Wow.
Of this conversation.
Seems like calling a man a woman has a lot of utility when it comes to cheating in sports, for example.
Then yes, technically it's not an actual vagina. You can't actually...
Like, what do you mean technically it's not an actual vagina? It's not a vagina that developed, like, congenitally? Like, I mean, but...
It's also made out of penis and doesn't have any of the stuff in there that's, like, you know, there for its main function, which would be giving birth, you know?
Yes, it is literally a wound that is created, and you have to dilate yourself to keep the wound open so that it never closes. And eventually you can stop dilating. You don't dilate forever.
This seems like a way of characterizing it that comes from a place...
A way of character that comes... Like, this person cannot just accept that the truth is the truth. Like, are you not just offended? And you're finding ways to justify your offense because you know deep down that it's the truth?
Of some level of disgust with the whole process.
Why does it have to be discussed? Why can't the truth be itself?
No,
it's a matter of how you're choosing to
Oh, thank you, Sleepy. Have a look.
evaluate it.
that's something that you're placing upon me, that I think that diminishes someone who does get a sex change, or that, you know...
I mean, people generally don't like thinking of...
Oh, the Blaire White thing. Yeah, hopefully I'll get to look at that on Monday in that case, because I'm interested.
their genitals as a wound.
It's not true. Just because I'm able to step outside of it and objectively look at what it is, doesn't mean I have disgust for it. Doesn't mean that I...
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying.
In what sense is this objective? I mean,
what sense is it objective? I don't know. The fact that you had a penis and then it got turned into what resembles a vagina, but it's still like penis tissue. You know what I mean? You've still got parts of your scrotum, a part of your glands. Like physically, literally. I don't know what is tripping this person up.
It seems to me that language, like,
the fact that you
wounding yourself, like, this contains a kind of evaluation of it that's not entirely scientific.
It's...
What?
It's absolutely scientific. It's objective in the sense that it's not an actual functioning vagina. It is a wound made to resemble a vagina.
Yeah, and it's not made of the same stuff that a vagina is, really. Like, it's made out of a penis. How many women have a vagina that was made out of a penis? I'll give you a hint. It's none.
That stays open so that you can have intercourse in it, but it's a wound.
Then in what sense is it not functioning? I mean...
By the way, I don't know that I agree it's a wound. It's a surgical reconstruction of something. I don't think you need to call it a wound, but I don't know. If someone wants to call what I had done to me a fucking wound, that's their fucking lookout, ultimately.
You can have intercourse in it, so it's functioning. I mean, you can't have a baby. In what sense is it not functioning? I mean, you can have intercourse in it, so it's functioning. I mean...
Oh, that wasn't good. That wasn't good, was it? That wasn't good at all. Ah, tell me what you really think, Nick. Tell me what you really think about what a vagina is. Like, this is probably advantageous for you. You probably don't want to make any babies, so you'd rather just spaff in something that can't make anything.
Then in what sense is it not functioning? I mean, you can have intercourse in it, so it's...
Yeah, that's what a fucking vagina's for, is it? Is that it?
it's functioning. I mean, you can't have a baby out of it, but
So there you go. Why is it more important that a vagina is something you can stick your dick in than it is that a vagina is something that a baby might come out of? Oh, hi, Hand Popper. I hope you're good. All a vagina is for to be fucked. Yep, there we go. Yep.
like, who
You
wants
can't have
to
a
have
baby
a
out of
baby?
it. It can't lubricate. It's a wound. A wound is not the same thing as vagina. That's just
That's true, by the way. I think certain procedures it can lubricate. If you have the penile inversion, which is what I have, it does not lubricate.
being objective about it. A wound is not the same thing as a vagina.
So,
I mean, listen. I would never talk to someone who had the surgery and described it as a wound to them. I think that would be really rude.
but why are you describing it like that now?
Because you're having a conversation about it in concept, man. I wish I'd watched this earlier. Like, a lot of the ways that people like Vorsh and like Alec Gunter and all those kinds of people talk about trans stuff is very, very similar. They don't want to talk about things in concept. They always want to apply something to it, almost. Or a vagina is a complex organ that comes with its own distinct instinct if you learn how to listen to it. Hey, maybe. I wouldn't know. I'm not a vagina haver.
Because it's the internet and we're talking about it technically speaking.
I think the
Because
moderator wants to say something.
because you have this opinion that you can change your sex, and if I disagree with that opinion, I'm going to back it up by saying, well, technically you actually can't change your sex. You can only resemble the opposite sex to the best.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. Blaire is talking about this whole thing in concept, kind of removing emotion, removing philosophy and shit like that from the equation, and Nick here is incapable of doing the same. Like, how great would it be if two people could just talk about something in concept? It was that's the same way I felt when I talked to Alec Gunter, honestly. Like, there was this need, like, I'll try and talk about something in concept, and there was this need to make it into, like, okay, well, prescribe me a thing where this doesn't fuck over these women and stuff like that. It's like, Jesus Christ, you're like a million miles away from where I'm at in the conversation, where I'm just trying to talk about the thing itself. Everything doesn't have to be consequentialist shit. Everything doesn't have to be, well, it sounds like you're saying this when you say this. How would you know what any one person means when they say a thing? How would you know what the intention behind any particular thing is? And we know for a fact that ContraPoints loves to infer intent. Because if you watch the J.K. Rowling video, as soon as the word concern comes up, immediately that is a troll. By ContraPoints' logic. Just, no, when you say that you're concerned about something, you're not actually concerned about it. How the fuck would you know something like that? You know what I mean? How the fuck would you know? If someone says they're concerned about something, whether they're actually concerned about something or not, it'd be naive to assume that they were concerned about that thing, for sure. But it would be overly cynical to assume that they were not concerned. You know what I mean? And a big part of this person's argument relies on all that kind of shit.
Of your capacity. There's a difference there. And again,
It just seems to me that there's like a needless like tone of
Needless tone. You can't talk about stuff in concept or in isolation. What's needless is constantly having to infer intent to something that Blaire White really isn't saying.
of derogation that you have when you talk
It's
about
not-
Because it's like, what I'd be wondering then with Nick here is like, well, how would you prefer I talked about it? How can I talk about this in concept in a way that's not going to offend you or make you think that I'm trying to imply something that I'm not trying to imply? It's incredibly bad faith. Genuinely feel kind of bad ranting about these things in front of me. But fuck's sake, this insanity triggers me. Listen, I don't care. Say what you want. I'd rather people say what they mean than try and placate me when I'm not really someone that needs to be placated anyway. I don't really give a fuck.
Transgender people, transsexual people, intersex people who you refer to as deformed. It just seems that you persistently adopt these aesthetic.
Listen, no.
Yeah.
I have described the intersex condition as a deformity. If you are born,
Yeah, like, oh my God, we just can't. Honestly, I think there's a lot of projection here, and this person is trying to frame this person as something. That's what it comes across to me as. They're the one focusing this much on like this kind of intent or whatever, and drawing what they think are parallels, because Blaire has said things that are like blunt. Like some people just can't handle bluntness, especially seemingly in America. I don't know. Oh, hi, Amaya. Wasn't very impressed with the whole Fred Sargent thing, I gotta say.
Born with a vagina and a scrotum or a uterus and a penis, that's a deformity. I'm sorry.
Deformity is not a scientific category.
Deformed can just mean something in isolation. Contra just refuses to talk about things in isolation.
Hold on.
Just let Blaire talk.
You are placing something on me that I think that because it is a deformity, that I am using that as, a derogatory term because I'm.
By the way, I've been treated this exact same way that Blaire is being treated right now. It's infuriating. And there's nothing you can say. That's the worst thing. Someone decides that your language has a certain pattern to it, even when it was not at all meant on your end, then that's it. We're just trying to make out that this person's like a bad person, and it sucks. One of them's trying to actually talk about something in concept, and the other one's trying to tie it back as to, oh, this is why you're a bad person. This is why actually you say this, but you mean this. Well, it's like, but what if that's not the case? What if she doesn't mean it that way? The problem with inferring intent is you might just literally be wrong. And then what? And then what? What are you doing? Lying about someone? You know what I mean?
I'm able to look at that as a deformity. It's what any doctor would call it. You're born with an abnormal body part or body part that's not as a deformity. It's what any doctor would call it. You're born with an abnormal body part or body part that's not technically supposed to be there.
That's what a doctor would call it. Well, they might not say it to your face, but like a deformity. If I'm missing one of my fingers, is that not a deformity? Could you not argue that myself having heterochromia, meaning I have two different colored eyes, is that not kind of a deformity in a way? It's quite a strong word to use on something that minor, I guess, but I don't know. A deformity is not just things not of the norm. I mean, I can look it up what it fucking means. I don't know. I don't like doing things this way. A deformed part, malformation. Yeah, I don't know. If I was born with 9 fingers, for example, instead of 10, that could be a deformity. Maybe it's not the nicest word to say, you know what I mean? But at the same time, we're just getting emotional.
It's a deformity. If I was born with 6 toes on one foot,
for a body part
oh, she literally said what I said.
It's supposed to be there. It's a deformity. If I was born with 6 toes on one foot,
for a body part?
that's a deformity. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Supposed to be there. See,
supposed to be. There's a design, you moron. There's a design. Why is it that every human pretty much has 10 fingers and 10 toes? There's a design. Later on, this behavior actually a lot. Contra uses a quote from Zinnia Jones, accusing Blaire of transgenocide. I hate Zinnia Jones. I've seen 2 videos by them. If I'd have seen Zinnia Jones before I started transitioning, I would never have transitioned. I am saying that now because there's no way of knowing, because this was a long time ago. She would have put me off that shit forever. I would want nothing to do with that shit. Fuck that shit. Disgusting.
there's this language of like.
There's a blueprint. Like, if a dog had 5 legs, would that not be kind of a deformity?
What should be that is introduced instead of just describing like what is like natural.
What should be, like, yeah. Oh my god. I wonder what this person understands about evolution and stuff like that.
So you take what you think is natural or
And you know what's weird? These people like to talk about, or I haven't heard ContraPoints say this specifically, but people love to talk about how they think language should have a purpose or whatever. But then they complain that someone's saying something should be a certain way because normally, and you being healthy and like anyone else, that's like, you know, somehow that's wrong. When they say it should be, Zinni and I are friends. Oh, that makes a lot of sense, Mary. I guess.
Keep up the good work. It's refreshing seeing an alternate and more grounded take on LGBT issues.
Thank you, Funeral Business. Has Zinnia Jones also threatened Fred Sargent? Has she done that too? I'd love to know that.
is introduced instead of just
Supposed to.
describing like what is like natural.
By the way, yes, I am just going to keep harping on it until you acknowledge what I'm saying. That's how it is.
So you take what you think is natural or what is typical, and then you turn that into this like normative language.
It's not what I think is typical. It's not what I think is typical. People have 5 toes on their feet. That is typical. That is 99.9% of people have fucking 5 toes on their feet. So if you're born with 6, that's a deformity.
And
You're
it's
placing
abnormal.
this on me that
It's abnormal. Why is that okay? Why is it okay to say abnormal, Nick? Why is it okay to say something is abnormal but not a deformity? The problem with Nick's whole thing here is you can just apply the same offense to anything they say. You know what I mean? Crazy.
that I look down on people who may have a deformity. And it's not true. And the only reason why I classify intersex, not even just me, doctors classify it as a condition, as a deformity, is because people try to make the argument that intersex is a third gender when it's actually a condition. And so what happens?
Well, they don't make the argument that's
I have no idea about Fred Sargent. I didn't have my phone for 2 weeks. But you were talking to a pissed up lawyer, weren't you? You were saying, oh, just tell him to kill himself. Get hold of his phone number. That wasn't you? Did someone steal your phone? Were you hacked? It sounded like you. I've spoken to you before. I've heard your voice before.
gender.
What happens is
Sex outside of the binary sex classification.
What happens is people make this argument that intersex is a third gender, right? And then
I've never heard anything about a third gender. It's a third sex, maybe, or it's a non-binary sex.
Okay, third sex. Okay, third sex. Lacey Green herself.
Outside of the binary sex.
And so what happens?
Well, they don't make the argument that's a third gender.
When it's actually a condition. And so what happens?
Well, they don't make the argument that's a third gender.
What happens is condition.
God, I can't fucking hear. Stop interrupting each other, please. I can't hear anything.
People try to make the argument that intersex is a third gender when it's actually a condition. And so what happens?
Well, they don't make the argument that's a third gender.
What happens is
sex outside of the binary sex classification.
It's not a third sex. Are you talking about in a live space on Twitter? Yes, I am talking about that. I can play it for you if you want. I've got at least a couple of hours before I have to start getting food on and stuff. Loads of time.
What happens is people make this argument that intersex is a third gender, right? And then
I've never heard anything about a third gender. It's a third sex. Maybe.
It's a third sex. No, it's not. If it's a third sex, then what's the third gamete?
Or it's a non-binary sex.
Okay, third sex. Okay, third sex. Lacey Green herself made the argument that it's a third sex on my stream. Okay, people make that argument. So then I'm now in the corner like, well, yeah, I could just let.
That was you. Yeah, I know. That's why I've been talking about it. I'm glad we're on the same page. Jesus Christ.
Them say that, or I could say, well, technically, being someone who tries to remain objective, I can say, well, actually, that's not a sex. That's actually a condition people are born with. And then what happens after that is that you look at that and say, wow, you think they have a deformity? You think they have a condition? It's like you're placing that negative connotation on it for me. And I don't.
Yeah, like Nick is the one inventing this. Like, how annoying is it when you just talk about things the way that you talk about them, and then someone starts policing your language the way that Nick is doing? But then, like, oh man. I'm spoiled for content today and I'm here. Oh, it's good to see you, Caleb.
I don't think of it that way.
But the only distinction.
I don't think of intersex people as less than me. I don't think of transsexuals as less.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Amaya, is I think it was very out of order. And it's not like I haven't mentioned how kind of fucked up I think that pissed up lawyer guy is, the way that he talks, the way that he behaves on the internet.
Than anyone else.
I mean, the only distinction
because I'm not a horrible person
between an actual sex and a deformity seems to be the frequency that it occurs at. But it seems that from the fact of intersex being atypical, you sort of add to this. I mean, again, I don't know why you choose to use the word deformity. And even if you were to insist that deformity is a scientific term, which I don't.
They're just language policing. Amazing. Is this all you have to offer? Contrapoints.
I don't really think it is. I mean, some intersex people don't have any physical manifestation of it. Like, so I describe.
It's so annoying. I don't know if Blaire's gonna like ask, but like, the simple thing is like, well, what terminology would satisfy you then, Nick? How can I talk about this in concept without you getting offended and constantly telling me how I think and telling me how I'm,
something called Swire syndrome in my latest video, which is basically people who have an XY chromosome, and
but then follow a female pathway.
There's a part of that Y chromosome that never is activated at that critical prenatal stage, so they don't develop testes or a penis or any of that. So they are born with a vagina with.
Okay, so you don't remember. You haven't seen like anyone reposting it or anything. You haven't, for example, seen me messaging it to you or anything like that. Maybe come out with anything saying that, hey, I don't think this way or something. I don't know. I'm just wondering because I'm not down with that kind of shit. I don't like the idea that I have someone on my thing and talk to them on my stream and then they're telling someone to tell someone to kill themselves. You know what I mean? I think that's way too far. Especially as you just have disagreements with him. You know what I mean? Whoever was saying that a butch lesbian should transition into a trans man on the Twitter space chat was especially repugnant. The misogyny and homophobia, wow. I don't know if I even saw that, Jesus. There's probably all sorts of shit. I bet if I went through some of those Twitter spaces, I could probably find all sorts of nuggets.
Uterus with fallopian tubes and are sexed female at birth, but so they don't appear to be deformed in any sense. It's just that they have a chromosome.
You don't have to appear to be deformed to have a deformity.
Yeah, because a deformity. Oh my god, man! Like, I would have actually rage quit by now. Like, I don't know that I could have handled this kind of shit. Then they have internal testes, possibly. I mean, if someone has internal testes, they're male. So hey, yeah. Purple Nightshade. I sent Amaya a message with the link to that video. There has been, this has been documented and shown to the person.
Deformity, you can have an internal deformity.
I think the issue here is the word deformity. It sounds really negative.
Okay, I actually appreciate what Shoe on Head is doing, even if she's kind of encouraging Nick here a little bit. But it's like, what we need is to have a term that Nick can accept. You know what I mean? The thing that I sent you, if I say it enough times, maybe you'll register. I don't know. I'm watching something.
So
yeah, but
condition.
But even condition.
Oh no, she's not really. Come on, Shoe on Head. Really easy. Hey Nick, you don't like this word, so what word should we use so that we can talk about this in concept without you inferring that I think a certain way? There we go. Swires have underdeveloped internal testes.
People would have an issue with that. It's like, I feel like I'm constantly...
We'd have less of an issue with condition than deformity.
I'm constantly...
We'd have less of an issue with condition than deformity.
I don't want to vent, but I feel like I'm constantly...
What did they say?
But even condition, people would have an issue with that. It's like, I feel like I'm constantly...
We'd have less of an issue with condition.
Is he saying more of an issue or less of an issue? I can't fucking hear with this garbage audio. Like, this looks like a fancy microphone. Why do you sound like this? Fuck me.
With that, it's like, I feel like I'm constantly...
We'd have less of an issue with condition.
I can't tell if they're saying more or less of an issue, you know what I mean?
Condition than deformity.
I don't want to vent, but I feel like I'm constantly someone who, you know, I try to be as objective as possible when I'm talking about these things. And then so I use words that people just have an issue with. People have an issue with the word imitate when you're imitating body parts as a trans woman.
Yeah, this is it. It's language policing. And it's fucking infuriating. I know how she feels.
Of a biological woman. So then I say, okay, what about mimic? What about trying to replicate? It's like, is it just a matter of me not using the word that you want?
Yeah, okay, she's getting to it. There we go. Exactly. So what word do you use then? What word can I use that will stop people from making things up about me and shitting on me for being mean? What word do I use then? Because it feels to me like whatever word I use is never going to be good enough. Whatever I do is never going to be good enough for some people. Nuts. What account did you send the link? I sent you the video on your Discord that we have spoken on, we've exchanged messages on, and that you are a member of my Discord using.
Is it just a matter of what word hurts your feelings the least? Not necessarily you, but people in general who come from the same sort of mindset as you. Is
But
that really
the
just what
kind
it
of
is?
suggestion, I mean, so suppose that you were we were not to talk about the biological aspect, but about the expressive aspect. So, like, again, you might say, would you say that a transgender woman who's wearing lipstick and eyeshadow and so on is emulating or imitating a cis woman? I mean, because you would never say that cis women. I mean, so actually, some feminists like Judith Butler would say that gender is basically imitation, everyone imitating everyone else. Trans people and cis people included.
Well,
you seem to think that it's only trans people who are.
I've heard that take before. It's interesting, but no, I don't think that makeup is, if a biological male or trans woman is wearing makeup, they are imitating something. However, you are striving.
Well, they kind of are. It's women's fashion. You're taking on like feminine fashion when you're a male person. Like makeup is not as associated with like males. And like when it has been, it's been like gender bending kind of stuff.
Striving to achieve, whether you want to call it a beauty standard or, a look that is not going to naturally.
Like, do you know why I wear makeup? Because I see women wearing makeup. I like how they look. I don't really like how I look as a guy with no makeup. I don't know, man. I don't fucking know.
Occur on you. If you are pumping your hips full of silicone so that you have female typical hips, you are trying to replicate, mimic, imitate the hips of a biological female. That's just what it is. And so
you're trying to have a woman's hips because you're a woman. How you're not trying to
What? You're trying to have a woman's hips because you're a woman. But you haven't shown how like a woman a man can be a woman.
And so
you're trying to have a woman's hips because you're a woman. How you're not trying to it's not that you're not a woman and you're trying.
By what measure? You'd have to establish how a man can be a woman for that to make any sense.
To imitate them. Like you are also a woman, right?
Your internal sense of self can definitely be that of a woman. My internal sense of self is absolutely that of a woman, which is why I chose to transition and why I chose to make changes. But your internal sense of self, you're
just being yourself. You're not imitating cis women.
Yes, I'm absolutely being myself. But when it comes to trying to attain body parts that I was not born with or that do not naturally occur on my body without the consumption of synthetic hormones or surgical intervention, you're absolutely trying to replicate a body part that wouldn't be there, that belongs to a different sex. I mean, I don't understand what's inherently derogatory about saying that. Like, people have been blowing up over this the past 24 hours. I don't understand that. I'm not comparing them to drag queens because trans women do live as women. Drag queens dress up and
disagree there for sure. Like the internal sense of self being a woman, like I don't think anyone has like an internal sense of self being a woman when they're a man. I think you can be unhappy being a man and want to be the other. I think that's probably more accurate to the truth personally.
perform. I understand there's a huge difference there. But I don't understand the issue with the word replicate or mimic or imitate, because that's what you're doing.
I think one of the reasons that people take such issue with it, one of the reasons I take such issue with it, is that this way of talking about trans women is often used against them. Like, it's often, so again, like when you're...
I hate this so much. Well, this is often used against trans. That doesn't mean that any one person saying any of those things is using it against trans women. What you're suggesting is that if an argument has been used against trans people, then no one can ever make that argument again, because then you'll just bring it back to when someone used it against a trans person. That's insane.
The people who advocate against trans women's right to use the bathrooms that...
Like, this is stupid. Like, just because someone uses an argument, it doesn't mean every argument, every use of that argument is used the same way. You're trying to control, like... I don't know. Hang on.
Again, like when you're the people who advocate against trans women's right to use...
It's like you see the same output of two things and assume the same input, or the other way around, one of them. Whichever way makes more fucking sense, I don't know.
The bathrooms that belong to their sex, or the people who advocate against, feminists who advocate for the inclusion of trans women in women's spaces have to struggle against this suggestion that trans women are somehow impersonators, or they're men in women's clothing, or they're like, so...
How aren't they? If you're a man and you wear women's clothing, are you not a man in women's clothing? This is a women's shirt. Am I not kind of a man in women's clothing? Is that not kind of true? I don't know, man. I don't know.
So again, like, and the thing is, like, this is exactly what trans exclusive radical feminists say.
The thing is,
Germaine
it's not
Greer
my
says.
fault if
Like, in her
people.
trouble, she called them, trans women grotesque parodies or something. And so this argument is used to suggest, yes, by trans exclusive radical feminists, but also by conservative commentators and things, to suggest that trans women are really kind of like men, sort of like invading femininity.
Why do you have to be like invading femininity? Why does it have to be that? Like, this is used one way, therefore it's always used that way? That sounds like you're the one with the problem then. That sounds like you're the one that needs to work out or unpick what someone's saying, why they're saying it, where it's coming from exactly. Like, I don't fucking know, man.
To suggest, yes, by trans exclusive radical feminists, but also by conservative commentators and things, to suggest that trans women are really kind of like men, sort of like invading femininity or imitating it or doing an impersonation of it.
The problem is, has Blaire said any of that? Has Blaire said this once? Like, I can see why she's getting like irate, because like, it's fucking annoying. Someone telling you what your shit means. It's fucking annoying. Being told, well, you're doing this that sounds like when someone else did that. It's like, well, I'm not doing that though. So why don't you fucking engage with what I'm saying? I'm sorry. I've like personally experienced this like numerous times, and it drives me insane. Like, this is a way to shut people up. Like, someone makes an assertion and you say, oh, well, TERFs make that same assertion. You have not engaged with that assertion and you're trying to shut them up. Get them not to say that again because TERF said it. What if I don't mean it the same way a TERF does? What if there's actually some truth in that argument, irrespective of who has said it? You know what I mean? Dishonest.
But it's used to discredit their womanhood, right? It's used to invalidate that.
The thing, he's using like dodgy arguments to discredit Blaire. He's been trying to discredit Blaire the whole time by like pointing at language and saying, well, that's mean when you say it like that. The discrediting is coming from this fucking person.
That they actually are the gender that they identify with.
Listen,
it's used to invalidate that they actually are the gender that they.
What does it mean to be a gender? What does it mean to be a gender? A gender, not a gender, but like a gender.
Identify with.
Listen, things can be weaponized again.
Has that connotation.
I think we can all agree that TERFs are the worst. So let's move on.
Okay, this is actually quite lame. Maybe Shoonhead did suck on this. Suck at this, I don't know.
Yeah, I think we can.
Sorry.
I love TERFs. Listen, if you're a TERF, you're welcome here.
Blaire, what were you gonna say?
June, you made me lose my train of thought. So let me just try to break this down, Contra. It sounds like much of your issue with me is just the language I use, that the language I use isn't kind enough. Is that, would that be fair to say?
Well, it's more than it's not being kind. I mean, often you use.
Is it? You haven't shown me it so far. Fucking hell.
Language in an unkind way, but you also sometimes do it in a way that's misleading. I think so calling trans women imitators, that's misleading. But you also sometimes do it in a way that's misleading.
We haven't shown that so far. The only reason you're saying it's misleading is because you have a very different idea of what men and women are to most of the population. I'm sorry.
I think so calling,
like, this person's definition of men and women caters to their feelings first and foremost. And that's probably where a lot of this like language should be prescriptive kind of shit comes from. Because they want the utility it has is that it caters to their feelings. And they'll even fucking admit that. They'll try and make the case that like that social utility, that it caters to people's feelings. It makes people feel good. But then it has all these other issues, calling men women. There's all these other issues that kind of suggest a lot less social utility or whatever the opposite of utility is, like causing problems. You know what I mean?
Calling trans women imitators, that to me, it's not.
I've never described a trans woman as an imitator. I just haven't. Like, and you keep saying that word, but I haven't. I've said that
this person is on many levels imitating womanhood. Could you say that I'm calling that person an imitator? Maybe, sure. I guess that's what I think then. Cool, amazing.
Attempt to imitate body parts that don't naturally occur on their bodies, because that's what you're doing. That's, in my view, the way I.
Yeah, so there's a level of imitation. That doesn't mean someone is an imitator, I guess is what they're saying. But I don't know. Like, to imitate is a verb. If you're imitating something, are you not kind of an imitator? I don't know. I don't see the point. I don't see the point of, like, being precious about this kind of shit, quite honestly.
I view it, that is what you're doing. If you're pumping your hips full of silicone, you're trying to imitate the hips of a biological woman. It doesn't have to diminish you. It doesn't mean anything bad. Just in the same way that, like, a biological woman getting breast implants, if they just have naturally small boobs, are trying to imitate the look of having large boobs. That's what you're doing.
But
there's nothing inherently wrong about that.
You've used the word caricature, and caricatures that just.
God, it's just woke scolding. It's like woke scold after woke scold. Yeah, we'll use this word. Yeah, we'll use that word. Like, it's grim. It's grim. It's disgusting. The worst thing is, I can't tell. I didn't watch this back in the day. I can't tell if I would have, like, agreed with some of this shit. Like, thankfully, I'm sparing my own self-disgust by not knowing, because I never watched it. But, like, Jesus Christ. Like, the worst thing is, this kind of works on people.
Parody or exaggeration or something grotesque. I mean, like, so in the words you choose, they have, they matter. It matters what words you use, because words mean something and they have connotations. And they.
Listen, I'm not going to admit to ever using the word imitator, because I haven't, but I can concede that the word caricature probably wasn't the best word. Okay. And if I was using that word, what I'm referring to is you are trying to mimic body parts. Okay. If you're going through surgery to rearrange your penis to resemble that of a vagina, or even if you want to say turn it in.
God, everyone's just talking about shoe on head. I'll say one thing. Like, this is quite heated. I can understand feeling like it's fucking awkward as shit. Probably not quite knowing what to expect. That being shoe on head. Infuriating to hear this, all from Contra went on to become more and more of a caricature. Yeah, in some ways, yeah, sure. I mean, this is the gender is performance person. Like, well, what are you performing as exactly? If you're doing a performance in which you're pretending to be a woman, are you imitating a woman? Probably in some ways, Jesus Christ. If your performance of woman does not include any woman imitation, it's probably a very shit performance.
Into a vagina, which I have a problem saying that because it's not technically true. But if you say that, that's not inherently, it doesn't diminish you. Everyone does different things. I mean, people, I feel like people often, you and your followers in particular, love to place, a lot of words in my mouth and.
Yes, true. And it's fucking annoying. I get this kind of shit from other people too.
Just put connotations there that I didn't put there. And maybe, I say things not in the best way sometimes. I know in particular that word caricature was said in the middle of a 3-hour live stream, not making an excuse, but I can admit it wasn't the best word. But this view that I attack trans people or try to diminish them or try to make them feel bad about themselves, it's just not true. I don't want to live in a.
Yeah, it's all vibes based. Well, you use this word and that word, and I'm interpreting it a certain way. It's very vibes based. You're not actually engaging with anything Blaire actually says. And it's the same. I find it so infuriating. Like, is there a single person on the planet that if they make a statement about something and someone else says, hold on, you use that word's offensive, isn't that just gonna piss you off? Like, I don't know a human being on the planet that wouldn't get fucking riled up by that shit.
In a world where that happens, I am trans, okay?
Well, what about the persistent misgendering of people like Riley Dennis? I mean, this is where
it's not people like Riley Dennis, it's just Riley Dennis. And I guess Milo's as well. But here's
why?
I'll misgender Riley Dennis right now. Riley Dennis is a woman. There you go. That's a misgendering. Here's a hot take, by the way. Fuck misgendering. Who gives a fuck about misgendering whatsoever? Stop policing each other in this way. It's fucking annoying. It just makes trans people seem annoying.
I can promise you right now, you have never seen me call a transsexual woman he. I have never intentionally done that. Huh?
But you do call transgender women he.
So you're trying to put a distinction here between so you think Riley is transgender but not.
Transgender and transsexual mean the exact same fucking thing.
a transsexual.
It seems to me that you place, so sometimes in medical and academic literature, there is this distinction that's made between transsexual, which is someone who is interested in surgery and hormones and so on, and transgender, which is simply someone who has, at the psychological level, identifies with a different gender.
Let me just explain why I do not refer to Riley Dennis as she and her. I feel like I always talk about this. Like, I honestly think it's annoying that I have to, but I will.
Well, you could not misgender people, and then you wouldn't have to talk about it.
Ah, gross. I wonder why this didn't end up catching on in the longer term. I wonder why this way of thinking just fucking pisses people off. I wonder.
No, yeah, but here's the thing. I don't call actual transsexuals by a gender they don't want to be called. I think that's rude. I think doing that intentionally is rude.
Okay, so but you decided that Riley is not.
Well, let me finish. I'm trying to explain why I do this. I in no way register Riley Dennis in my mind as a female. For me to call Riley Dennis she or her would take a lot of effort. And you know what? There's an argument to be made that maybe I should make the effort. Maybe I should be nicer. There's always room to be nicer.
How hard is it? It's not. It's easier than paying your taxes or going to the bank.
Let her talk, man. Let her finish. Oh my god.
Wait, let her finish.
Let me finish now.
Sorry, guys.
Going to the bank.
Wait, let her finish.
Let me finish now.
You see him, he's like laughing. He knows he's annoying her by like cutting in and stuff. He knows this. Why are you gonna harp on at someone for being mean, for not misgendering someone, and then show a lack of respect when talking to them? Like, shall we say that misgendering someone is rude? Okay. So is cutting someone off constantly. So is not letting someone actually explain what they've been trying to explain for like fucking good minute or so by now.
Easier than paying your taxes or going to the bank.
Wait, let her finish.
Let me finish now.
Sorry, guys.
I don't call Riley Dennis she because Riley Dennis has not transitioned. Riley Dennis has made absolutely no attempts.
Like, this is fairly arbitrary, I think. Like, I think my way, Blaire ended up cucking and apologizing after finding Riley Dennis on HRT. Yep, because this person believes in like true trans and stuff. I do not. I don't give a fuck. Misgender who the fuck you want. I'm so bad at pronouns, people just get all sorts from me. Like, I don't know, my partner's actually non-binary, believe it or not. And in a way that's kind of easy because they just get every fucking pronoun thrown at them all the time. And that apparently is fine. So it kind of works in a way. I don't know. This is dumb.
Don't call Riley Dennis she because Riley Dennis has not transitioned. Riley Dennis
Like, you don't have to justify it. Why do you have to justify it? So you think that I'm transphobic because I won't call Riley Dennis a she? You can think that. Who gives a fuck? You think I'm mean? Okay. I think telling someone to kill themselves is mean. But that's fine, apparently. So I don't know.
has made absolutely no attempts to live as a gender that...
I also think putting words in people's mouths, constantly assuming bad intention from someone who really might just be trying to be honest, I think that's pretty fucking mean too. If you want to talk about it. I mean, we can talk about it another time, but I don't know.
Riley Dennis wished...
I really, really cannot promise that I won't continue to refer it to it and make fun of you for it. That's probably just going to happen, unfortunately. So bear that in mind. I don't know. Not down with that shit. I don't like when people pretend to be reasonable to my face, and then behind the scenes, they're doing all the same TRA shit that I've been complaining about for fucking forever. I think that's not cool. And it makes me feel like you're just kind of bullshitting me when you speak to me. And that sucks. I don't know.
To be called. I also don't call Riley Dennis she because I reject the authoritarianism surrounding his entire worldview. That if you don't say it, that you're a horrible, evil, big...
Yes. What about this compelled speech thing? Why can't we talk about how this is like compelled speech?
person.
I mean,
and so it's kind of, it's so...
Yeah, Riley went on to play in women's sports. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Isn't that bad? Why is it bad to call Riley Dennis a he, but not bad for that person to fucking go into Australian women's football and fucking dominate? Fucking a head above. Okay, I would suggest maybe saying something publicly, not using any of my shit on your own steam and acknowledging that saying that kind of shit is fucked up, personally. That's what I would do. There's not much point. Like, listen, I understand. I'm glad you're at least saying that, but I think it's probably more to do than just apologizing to me because I feel bullshitted, you know? That's not really the crux of the matter, ultimately. And someone like that pissed off lawyer person, the way that they engage, the way that they talk about stuff, they're always going to be like that. They're always going to be a problem in that way. They're always going to be like a bad influence because they actually probably have those kind of like tendencies. Riley Dennis broke a woman's leg, Jesus Christ.
So it's kind of like, you know, throwing the ball right back over the fence at Riley. Like, actually, no, I'm not a horrible person, but I don't have to call you this. You don't have to force me to say something that I don't want to say. That's why I do that.
Yeah, there's a thing. Apologize to Fred Sargent. There you go. Publicly, on Twitter. Hey, Fred Sargent, I'm really sorry about the shit I said. There you go. Problem solved.
If I will tell you right now, the day Riley Dennis goes on hormones, the day Riley Dennis puts on a female article of...
Oh, no, I'm not done, actually. Convince pissed up lawyer to do the same. There we go. Oh, and also, that weird person going on and on about how Fred Sargent's a cop and therefore a bad person, get them, finally, to also apologize to Fred Sargent. Those three things, I'll consider maybe we can be cool again. I don't know.
Clothing that's not a jersey like he wears in every video, I will start calling Riley Dennis she. I really will. But until then, I don't feel like...
You put yourself the arbiter of who's trans.
Okay. No.
The arbiter of who's trans. Everyone is the arbiter of what they see around them. Everyone makes those decisions in their heads. You know what I mean? No, I won't apologize to Fred Sargent. Okay. So, he harassed you. Did he though? Okay, sure. What's worse? Tweeting at someone or saying to someone that person should kill themselves. I think you've done a lot worse. You've taken it to a level that the other person has not taken it to. I think you should probably apologize to him. There's not much point apologizing to me and not the person that you suggested should be told to kill themselves. You know what I mean? That's what I think. And like, you don't have to like someone, but if you've taken something too far, that's probably something you should think about. And I don't know. Apologize to your children for killing them. Oh, Jesus Christ, listen, I'm not avowing it. I'm not stopping anyone saying what they want, but Jesus.
I am not the arbiter.
Let just Contra say what.
And I don't. So I don't. You seem to say that in your perception, like there's certain things that someone can do that if they do these things, then okay, they're now officially trying hard enough that I'll acknowledge them. But
well, isn't that anyone's right? Isn't anyone the arbiter of everything in their own mind? Surely. People have to be able to make those kind of thoughts for themselves. Other people shouldn't be controlling whether someone is thought of as a male or a female. You know what I mean? That's nuts.
I mean, no. Why not respect? Like, what is the point in intentionally disrespecting someone's own pronoun preferences?
He's a scumbag. You haven't learned, have you? You haven't learned. You'd say the same thing again, I think.
I am not the arbiter of what a trans person is.
Okay, then why are you misgendering them and telling them who they are?
There are things completely out of my power that actually describe...
Like, I'll be honest, I don't want to associate with people that think it's okay because they have disagreements with someone that they should be told to kill themselves. You know what I mean? I'm just not down with that. And I never will be. Nuts.
A trans person. Someone who transitioned is a trans person. It would kind of be like...
Okay, but what is it like? What are the criteria for transitioning? How many of the boxes do you have to check?
Here is an example I want to give you. It would kind of, to me, I mean, you're speaking to someone who...
Yeah, like, Blaire's on the back foot here. The thing is, you don't have to see anyone as a woman that's a male that you don't want to. Amaya and his friends came back across as scumbags on that stream. Yeah, it just feels hypocritical. It feels... He's told you the same thing. Show me evidence of that. And then I can say you're both as bad as each other. You're both like, how old? Telling each other to kill themselves. That's embarrassing. That's very embarrassing. I don't know why I, as a 34-year-old, am having to tell you that.
is trans. You are not trans to my knowledge. You don't call yourself trans, you call yourself a crossdresser. So
I don't call myself a crossdresser. I used to. I call myself genderqueer. I don't call myself a crossdresser anymore.
Oh, okay.
In the video.
Okay, then we'll go with genderqueer. But either way, your life and my life, very different in terms of gender and the fact that I'm trans. Like, our lives are just very different, okay?
Yeah, there's something grimly and quite depressingly amusing about the idea of two significantly middle-aged elderly people fucking telling each other to kill themselves over the internet. Like, what have we come to, man? What have we come to?
Sure they are.
Yes, and I'm not even talking about in general. I'm talking about when it comes to being trans and your genderqueer. Those are very different things, okay? To me, it would kind of be like you sitting here telling a Black person that if you don't respect Rachel Dolezal and refer to Rachel Dolezal as an African-American...
This is actually a good point. Why is race not regarded the same way as gender? Why is gender so unique in this respect? Like, isn't race kind of socially constructed to at least some extent? And like very malleable, very, most people are kind of mongrels, as it were. So aren't we kind of putting like kind of arbitrary lines here and there when it comes to race? You know what I mean? That's how they want gender to be treated, as if it's like the same as race, ironically. Where you're like, oh, well, I'm this much man and this much woman or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Woman, then you are being an asshole, you're being a bigot, you're wrong for that. It's kind of like, I don't know, who are you really to tell me that I have to refer to Riley Dennis as a trans woman when Riley Dennis himself has not made any effort to actually assume that role in society? That's what I really view this as.
Yeah, why would someone be big mad at the idea that someone should tell someone else to kill themselves? Listen, if he's done just as bad as you can show me the fucking evidence. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going on about it. And there's no point apologizing to me. You know what I mean? I'm not the one you're telling to kill himself.
It largely does assume that role in society, first of all.
No.
Second of all, I think that this is a spurious comparison between trans people, between genderqueer people and Rachel Dolezal. I don't think I think that any comparison between the trans thing and the race thing is complicated.
No, I'm not.
It's complicated. Well, don't just say it's complicated. You have to engage. Why it's different to call Rachel Dolezal Black and call Riley Dennis a woman? Why is it different?
Conflating transgenderism with
but you are conflating non-binary or gender non-conformity.
No, I'm not conflating transgenderism with trans.
Didn't she literally say that trans and non-conforming isn't the same? I haven't got time currently. Okay, well, that's nice.
Racialism, which isn't even a thing.
You understand, by the way, even if you do show me that, you're still in the wrong. There's still no call for doing that kind of thing.
What I'm conflating is the expectation for someone who, you want me to just say this because you don't want me to be an asshole to Riley. It'd be kind of be like you telling an African-American woman to refer.
Also, earlier it was I had a head injury, and now it's something else. I don't know, man. You come across incredibly dishonest to me, and I'm just irritated at myself that I let you on my platform. But what my grievance here is really not the main fucking problem with that kind of shit. You know what I mean? Fucking hell. Anyway.
Refer to Rachel Dolezal as an African-American woman, otherwise you're a bigot. She's not an African-American woman. Riley Dennis is not a trans woman. That's just what it is.
Yeah, see, this is why we should be more like essentialist. Riley Dennis is a man. Riley Dennis is a male. Can you say that in any one case, calling a male he, him is bad? Like, why? Why? Isn't it kind of everyone's interpretation as to what everyone is to a certain extent?
I'm not the arbiter of it. Things have definitions outside of me. I didn't wake up and decide this is what a trans woman is. This is my book. This is Blaire's law. It just is what it is. Certain things are certain things. There's classifications for things. Riley Dennis, in no sense of the word, can be classified as a transsexual. Like,
yeah, I will be clear. I think Blaire is quite weak here. That's why I don't. Oh, excuse me. That's why I don't do the true trans thing, because I don't think there's really much weight to it. Like, at what point does someone become a woman and thus ends the she/her thing? Well, I don't know. It's just I just say what I see. It's not even that deep for me. You know what I mean?
So to you, like female pronouns are just this reward you get for taking hormones and for
No,
going
it's
through all
not a
this
reward.
stuff.
I don't.
And then we're constantly framing it like I'm kind of more leaning towards what Contra's saying for certain reasons, you know what I mean? But like,
of the word can be classified as a transsexual. Like,
So-
yeah, like I'm not really finding myself agreeing with Blaire here, but then Contra has to constantly frame it in these like really unflattering ways. Like, you have a problem with like Blaire White framing Riley J. Dennis in a way that you find unflattering, but then you're doing the same to her now.
So to you, like female pronouns are just this reward you get for taking hormones and for
no,
going
it's
through all
not a
this
reward.
stuff.
I don't.
But,
I
like,
wouldn't view myself as giving Riley a reward. Like, oh, you.
But why do you have to earn it in this way?
She's not saying you have to earn it. Like, this is like debate pedophilia as fuck is what this is. This is like full on debate pervertry from ContraPoints here. Like, Jesus Christ, fucking hell. Oh my God, why do I keep clicking on bookmarks? Just stop doing it. Just stop clicking.
Is what it is. Certain things are certain things. There's classifications for things. Riley Dennis, and no.
Yeah, like the classification of like true trans is just not a very good one in my opinion. So yeah, I'll say it again. Like I'm not really on Blaire's side so much here, but Contra's just being a dick. Like this is like, you want to complain that someone's mean and like rude? What's more rude than like constantly inferring someone's motivations and like constantly framing it in a way that people just they don't deal with it that way. You know what I mean?
Sense of the word can be classified as a transsexual. Like,
so to you, like female pronouns are just this reward you get for taking hormones and for
no,
going
it's
through all
not a
this
reward.
stuff.
I don't. I
like,
wouldn't.
Yeah, this is what's known as bad faith. Don't be bad faith. You're kind of on the strong footing right now, Nick. Why are you being bad faith? Is not needed. You being bad faith, you would be bad faith because you're not doing very well. Even though you're doing well now, you're still doing this shit. You don't need to.
I view myself as giving Riley a reward. Like, oh, you.
But why do you have to earn it in this way?
Huh?
Why do you have to?
Hey, make sure you like the stream, by the way. Make sure you check the links in my description. You can check out my music. You can super chat via Streamlabs. You can join my Discord.
To earn it in this way?
There is only one person in my Discord that likes telling old men to kill themselves, by the way. Everyone else, as far as I know, is cool.
You have decided
It's not about earning it. It's not about earning it. It's about moving through society as a woman or moving through society as a man. Riley Dennis does not, from his own words, does not experience gender dysphoria, has not transitioned, and still wants to operate through society being called a woman. Do you think that's honestly reasonable for perfect strangers to just call Riley Dennis she and her? When Riley Dennis, we might disagree with it. We might disagree. Has not transitioned and still wants to operate through society being called a woman. Do you think that's honestly reasonable for perfect strangers to just call Riley Dennis she and her? When Riley Dennis, we might disagree with it. We might disagree on this part. Riley Dennis does not physically resemble a woman in any way. Riley Dennis can't walk into the store and have people call Riley she and her. It's just not how it works.
I think she presents it somewhat ambiguous.
Guys,
to say my judgment about it.
Presents ambiguous, then why would you fucking care what people call them? Because different people are going to see different things. Because that's what ambiguous means. Could be seen in different ways depending. Like, I want to lean towards this is like actual concern trolling at this point. Do you give a fuck about this? Really? Really? I feel like the reason this person is more invested in this seems to be, and I could be wrong, don't get me wrong, that it's more about like, will I be worried that I would be referred to in this way? Like, do you honestly care about Riley J. Dennis if they haven't been like doing this shit? You know what I mean? If they haven't been transitioning at all? When it's ambiguous anyway? Well, if it's ambiguous anyway, why do you give a fuck whether someone calls them a he or a she? Because it's ambiguous. It's open to interpretation.
But I think that how someone presents is not really the main story. I mean, if someone psychologically identifies
it is though. That actually is how pronouns work. Pronouns
about it, but I think that how someone presents is not really the main story. I mean,
How people present isn't the main story. People pronoun people based on what they see. That's just how it is.
If someone's psychologically...
No, it is.
So why would you single out Blaire by that token? Why would you single out Blaire? Maybe she sees more of a man than a woman. Isn't that just her perception? Because like you said, it's ambiguous.
It is though. That actually is how pronouns work. Pronouns for 99.9% of the world are not a thought process.
You think
Pronouns are a quick assessment of what a person looks like based on secondary sex characteristics and making a snap, not even a judgment. It's not even a thought.
Okay, but that's...
I mean, if you see them naked in the spa, you'll probably use the primary sex characteristics, but hey, you know, that's a whole nother story.
If you see someone and they register as female in your mind, you refer to them as such. It's just, it is what it is.
Then again, a cross-dresser who passes very well will be she just as much.
Yes, exactly.
It puts them on the same level
That's
as a
the point.
transsexual.
What's actually the difference between like a cross-dresser and a trans person, apart from identity? Take identity out of the equation for a moment. What actually is the difference between a male to female transsexual and a male crossdresser? There isn't really much, it turns out. And yes, if you crossdress and you look like a woman, you're going to fool people. They're going to call you a she. Because what Blaire is saying about pronouns is literally true. We're just trying to change it so that we can get to a point where we can dictate it to people. Which is nuts. Oh, have a good one, Ham Popper.
That is the point.
But then it just sounds to me like you're putting passing at the center of this. That is passing.
No, it's not. Again, no.
But
no.
Why not?
She's just saying how things are, man. Like, yeah, if you pass, you're more likely to be called a she. Listen, I was on Nick's side briefly. He is arguing this in such a fucking dogshit fashion that I'm actually coming back round to Blaire's way of thinking. Like, if you see someone and they look like a guy to you and you're not aware that they're doing any kind of transition, literally, what impetus is there to call them a she? Literally, where? Where is the impetus to do that? Congratulations, Nick. You managed to turn me off of your argument that I kind of agreed with. Amazing. Amazing. You did it.
Okay, this is another thing that you place on me that first of all, I don't think.
Okay, guys.
Excuse me, guys. Not very woke. Shuon head. Excuse me.
Take deep breaths. We gotta calm down. Okay.
Okay. Let's just bring it down. Bring it down.
Okay. So basically, it's just Blaire's opinion. She's not saying other people shouldn't.
Yeah, that's the thing as well. Like, why are you trying to force someone to call someone a thing when they just don't see someone that way? It's just crazy.
See?
I keep forgetting Shu is here. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't mind her moderating style of mostly just letting them do it. I fucking hate. Like, I don't know if anyone remembers, like, Prime Kai's. Like, he used to run these, like, panels with, like, way too many people on Twitch. And he'd be way too intrusive as a moderator. Like, constantly piping in with his own opinions. Constantly, like, jumping in when shit's, like, actually getting interesting sometimes. I hate that kind of shit. I would rather someone kind of stand back a lot more, like Shu is doing. I prefer that, if anything. Hi, Nick Grimes. I hope you're good. Has either Contra or Blaire done a debate since this? Contra was in some other panel that included Destiny and like Nick Fuentes and a bunch of stuff. Whether that counts or not. Has Blaire done Blaire debated Jessica and Eve, if that counts. She's probably done other ones as well. She's doing one with Brianna Wu, so that's nice. I don't really keep up too much with either of those people's like debating careers. So I guess people are going to be like, "What? How did you not know about this debate, that debate?" I
Riley has that, and then Contra says it's easy to just, be nice. So I think it's
easy to be nice, but it's just not how it works. Though that's the problem. Someone sees a male person that they consider a male. There it is. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I don't know that someone has ever convinced me out of their position before, but ContraPoints has done it. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy, man.
What is going on here?
And listen, I would never argue there's not more room to be nice, okay? But at some point, you also have to take a stand for things. I mean, like I said, I made that comparison
Oh yeah, Blaire's been on Jubilee, of course. Yeah.
between forcing a Black woman to refer to Rachel Dolezal as another Black woman. I don't feel like I should have to be forced to refer to someone who has not transitioned as a trans woman. I just don't. The same way that before I transitioned as a trans woman, I just
There we go. Passive aggressive mumbling, new debate tactic. Let's go.
don't. The same way.
The fact that Natalie and Blaire never had another direct interaction, and Natalie has made like 6 videos where she either makes fun of or reluctantly agrees with Blaire. yeah, true. Yeah, because in the cringe video, what was it? Natalie refers to Blaire as Natalie being one of Blaire's dump trucks, as in like used to shit on her. But like, I don't know. Has Blaire White talked about ContraPoints like since really? Hang on, let me just have a look. Let's just chill for a sec. We don't need to start playing things. Okay, no, she has. The truth about... Oh, she spoke about him being cancelled and was probably taking a side. I think I remember this. My God. Reacting to trans YouTubers who hate me. So she has spoken about it since, but I mean, I don't know. And like, I was one of her dump trucks. Like, how many videos did Blaire even make about Contra? I'm seeing one, which she probably had a lot of sympathy for because Blaire White doesn't seem like the person who is down with like cancel culture. Reacting to these trans YouTubers who hate me. I mean, Blaire has definitely been mentioned by ContraPoints at this point. Is it not fair enough to like kind of respond? I'm seeing 2 videos. Were there more? Were there more than 2 videos? Yeah, defended Natalie. So we've got 2 videos I can see. ContraPoints said in her video, in her cringe video, that she was one of Blaire's dump trucks. But I'm not seeing that. Did she delete a bunch of videos? I don't know. I guess it's not out of the question that someone refers to themselves as your victim, so you delete a bunch of videos, but I don't have evidence of that, so I don't really know. I'm seeing 2 videos, so how on earth is Natalie one of Blaire's dump trucks? That doesn't make sense. And in this, it's just talking about like Riley Dennis. There's no hint of like, she's been shitting on ContraPoints. I don't know. Does anyone know of any other videos apart from those 2 that we looked at, that we saw the thumbnails for, where she's actually been like shitting on ContraPoints?
Way that before I transitioned, and I kind of had a little bit of an androgynous look since I was like 13, but there were times where I would still go into certain social circles and they would just automatically call me he, right? I never got up in arms about that because I presented as he, even though I had, did my hair how I wanted and maybe wore a little bit of concealer or whatever, I still presented as he. So I couldn't have a gripe with someone referring to me as that because that's how they registered me.
So this is why it seems to me like you're placing emphasis on passing, because you say how you presented is how people refer to you, and you seem to think that's
how it works. How do you not understand? No, I'll show you what I mean. To be completely clear. So we got this video here. We're probably familiar with it. Cringe by ContraPoints. Well over 4 million views. Let me just find where it is. Yes. No. I'm right. I'm fucking right. I'm always fucking right. Never doubt me, even though none of you did.
Tragic dump truck in a maladjusted wig. And I'm allowed to say dump truck because before I transitioned, I was one of Vanessa's dump trucks. I was one of hashtag her dump trucks.
Is this true? What does she mean when she says this? I was one of Blaire's dump trucks. What does this mean?
Dump truck because before I transitioned, I was one of Vanessa's dump trucks. I was one of hashtag her dump trucks. Look, I happen to possess a little thing, you probably haven't heard of it, called inner beauty. That's right, sweetie. My pancreas, unclockable.
In what way were you one of Blaire White's dump trucks?
Meanwhile, Rose...
Is this just a lie? Has no one ever, like, thought about this before? I feel like this is the most obvious thing in the fucking world. And that just no one cares about this or something. Because, like, it doesn't mean anything much. But this feels like a massive fucking lie. Like we're pretending there's far more of a fucking beef on one side than the other. You know what I mean? I really am like, I don't know. I could be wrong here. I could be wrong. But what does she mean when she says, I was one of Blaire's dump trucks? Person to shit on. Yes. And what my other point is, all I can find are like 2 fucking videos. One of which, Blaire was defending ContraPoints. So in what way was ContraPoints one of Blaire's dump trucks? That's what I'm getting at. It kind of seems like this is a massive fucking lie. We're trying to make out that ContraPoints was treated the same way by Blaire White that Riley J. Dennis was. And that's just not true. Like, I don't know. Listen. Fucking feel free to... Someone explain this to me. I don't know. This feels extremely fucked up. This feels like she got a fucking massive lie past a lot of people. That she's insinuating that she was like bullied by Blaire. But like, how so? Where? Has Blaire deleted a bunch of videos about ContraPoints? I mean, it's not out of the question, but I've seen no evidence for that, so I can't really state that, you know what I mean?
It's a fair system. You get the pronouns of how you present.
No, I think a fair system is, if you're trying, you can absolutely be called what you want. Because, you know, I have trans friends who, I hate even talking about passing. It's like obnoxious and it's always arbitrary. And I can honestly say, maybe you don't believe me, I've never really even talked about passing on my channel ever. I don't think I've ever used the word, okay? But I have trans.
They're talking past each other. So Contra is framing it around passing and like, oh, you have to be passed to call a certain thing. When she's saying, naturally, people just say what they see, which is correct.
Friends who maybe could be described as they don't pass, okay? Maybe because of height or whatever have you, but they go in certain circles and people can see that they're making an attempt. They are dressed completely as women. People are kind enough to just call them what they assume they want to be called. And that's a great system. It just works. Riley Dennis, I've never seen Riley Dennis wear a female article of clothing, ever. Have you? He always wears like jerseys and like, I'm
not good. What is the difference between a female and male article? Like, I mean, but see, again,
there are clothes that are designated for men and women, okay? And part of transitioning.
It places the entire burden onto expression as opposed to on psychology or even biology. I mean, like, again, if someone's taking hormones but they're still wearing men's clothes, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see why that is the big thing for you. And I just don't see why it's like, I don't know.
It's a big thing because I've lived my life as a transsexual and I know how this works, okay? You go out in society and people register you a certain way in their minds. That's just how it works.
I mean, I understand that as a fact of how social situations in fact are.
So you understand, so what the fuck is the problem now? Oh my God.
People do make these judgments based on how you look. Yes. But is that as far as we need to go? Is that the most enlightened view? If you know someone and they prefer different pronouns.
Yeah, but is that the most enlightened view? Well, why are pronouns something to be dictated to other people? Why do you have to care about that shit whatsoever?
They're not.
No, I absolutely concede.
I mean, why not call them by the pronouns they prefer?
No, I've absolutely conceded that there's room to be nicer. Like, I'm not painting myself as.
But you say there's room to be nicer, but then you don't do it.
Because again, you're asking me to be nicer and put aside properly classifying things and how I actually register Riley Dennis in my mind. I'm sorry. I mean, you're asking me to say
he's a male person as a man, so calls him a he. It's really not rocket science, Nick. You should, I don't know. You should explain what the fuck you meant by I was one of Blaire's dump trucks. That's what you should do. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just schizoing out. Maybe it's got to that time where I stop making any sense whatsoever, because it happens in every stream, I'll be honest. But at the same time, I'm really not okay. I think that was a massive fucking lie that I just let happen. And I believed. And I continued to regard Blaire as this kind of bully, this kind of piece of shit, when I never really watched her. It was not fair of me to make that assessment, you know what I mean?
set aside a lot just to like refer to someone as a woman when they're making no effort. It's almost impossible. That's just how I see it. And I feel like every argument devolves down to something about Riley Dennis.
Well, people don't like it when you misgender them or other people. So
what? Children don't like it when you insist that they go to school. People don't like lots of things. People don't like their jobs. They still go to them anyway.
Well, how's this?
And like, if you don't like being called a he, isn't the answer to change what you look like? Dump truck is an euphemism from anal sex. Listen, someone is going to have to take me seriously on this. I'm just going to keep fucking losing my shit over this one line in this fucking old as fuck ContraPoints video until someone takes me seriously on this. I really think there's an issue here. Like, how many videos has Blaire ever made about ContraPoints? What's she like been saying about ContraPoints this entire time? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Well, how's this? I don't misgender transsexuals. I don't. I think that's rude.
Well, that's a good
I think
start.
intentionally doing that is rude, and I don't do it. Riley Dennis doesn't fall into that.
I think it's rude to do it to Riley Dennis too.
Well,
is it misgendering? How is it misgendering? You haven't even established misgendering. Jesus Christ. Just woke scalding. It's just this. It's just this. It's just finger wagging. It's annoying. Like, I guess Contra kind of started to seem like she knew better and started to seem like she understood that this shit is annoying as fuck, but then just kind of went back on it, which sucks. I don't know, man. I don't know. I followed someone that I feel now very lied to by.
that's not my view, and I'm sure.
But it's not even just about me. It's the fact that this person has potentially kind of lied quite heavily about someone that really has not done what she's saying, potentially. It's not about me, really. I'm just irritated that I let that kind of shit happen to myself. But, like, there's wider implications here, you know?
we could go in circles about that. So, yeah, different view.
So I don't know if you guys have talked about it in that big mess of things, but the other thing that you were going to bring up is Blaire's bullying. Was that the Riley Dennis thing, basically?
Jesus Christ.
Well, it's a Riley Dennis thing. It's also just a persistent habit you have. I mean,
yeah, because I mean, there's no like, what's the word? There's no inference that this person has ever been bullied by Blaire White. I think she means she dumpsters leftists. Generally, therefore including Contra, maybe. Why did I close the video? Maybe I need a little more context. Because I am sure that dump trucks refers to someone that Blaire White shits on. You know what I mean?
Looking people with the hideousness of the wretched fake trans.
The tweet came from someone who you...
Yeah. I think they're saying Jessica Yaniv in this instance is a dump truck. Some, like, hideous, like, trans person that they just get to shit on loads because they're, like, cringe. You know what I mean?
can smell just by looking at a picture of them.
I bring this up, again, not because I have any interest at all in white knighting for Yaniv. I do not support her journey. As far as I'm concerned, she can eat shit. And maybe she does. I wouldn't be surprised. No, my point is that part of the catharsis that Rose and Vanessa seem to derive from making this kind of content comes from contrasting themselves as good, presentable, real trans people with the hideousness of the wretched, fake trans dump truck.
Yeah, so the dump truck being the weird, creepy, ugly trans person that they compare themselves to.
The classic Vanessa thumbnail is divided into two halves. On one half, Vanessa, looking fish, looking cunt. Always with her lip gloss in the live streams. And in the other half of the thumbnail, for contrast, the tragic dump truck in a maladjusted wig. And I'm allowed to say dump truck because before I transitioned, I was one of Vanessa's dump trucks. I was one of, hashtag, her dump trucks.
Before I transitioned, I was one of her dump trucks. This is pre-transition. There is no suggestion that Blaire has been bullying Contra. We're talking about Blaire bullying other people, supposedly. Before my transition.
Dump truck because before I transitioned, I was one of Vanessa's dump trucks.
Before I transitioned. So this is before transitioning. When was it that Contra transitioned? I mean, it's quite easy to tell because she deleted everything from pre-trans. So either Blaire White has deleted a lot of videos about ContraPoints in order to make this seem like a massive fucking lie, or ContraPoints is fucking lying about another person, about another trans person, no less. Nice. Oh, this was 7 years ago, interestingly. So this was 7 years ago. What? April 20th, 2017. When did this video come out? Because I know ContraPoints deleted all our pre-transition stuff. Calm down. September. 6 months later. But there's no implication at all that Contra personally had been bullied by Blaire. Like, I'm not seeing any, at least. And then 6 months later, she started transitioning. So where was the bullying exactly? I think she would generally fit into that category. When she says, I was once one of Vanessa's dump trucks. That does not mean you would fit into that category, or you would have. If she means that, she should have said that outright.
Always with her lip gloss in the live streams. And in the other half of the thumbnail, for contrast, the tragic dump truck in a maladjusted wig. And I'm allowed to say dump truck because before I transitioned, I was one of Vanessa's dump trucks.
Vanessa's dump trucks. Like, the heavy insinuation here is that Blaire White made a video, or several videos, about ContraPoints pre-trans, like making fun of her. Like, I can't see any other way of interpreting this.
The classic Vanessa thumbnail is divided into two halves. On one half, Vanessa, looking fish, looking cunt. Always with her lip gloss in the live streams. And in the other half of the thumbnail, for contrast, the tragic dump truck in a maladjusted wig. And I'm allowed to say dump truck because before I transitioned, I was one of Vanessa's dump trucks.
Like, you could have said, I was a dump truck myself before I transitioned. And then you're not necessarily saying that I was one of the people that she shat on. This is extremely dodgy. This is extremely fucking dodgy. I can't see how this would be, I fit that category when you're saying Vanessa's dump trucks. The implication here is that you were shitting on her. That she was shitting on you, using her videos in which she does the thumbnail thing that you're just talking about. Nicotine was oh yeah, nicotine too. Listen, look up nicotine 911, spelt like how Nat Trevi just wrote it. If he ever wants some entertainment. ContraPoints is actually quite funny sometimes, and that video is a good example, albeit one where they're like blind drunk. Okay, I need to stop schizoing out. I'll try and, I don't know if I'm going to finish this video because it's fucking long as shit, but we'll see how we do. If anyone thinks that I need to skip to a certain point, then let me know, I guess.
You don't do it comes up in different ways. You used to make videos like the one about Dakota Hendricks or Milo Stewart. These people, you seem to, I mean, and to be fair, like the reason you seem to do this seems to come from some sense that these people are appropriating trans identities or something like that. But that's the one most charitable interpretation of it. Otherwise, it seems like you're simply holding them up as freaks to be laughed at. So there's that. Then there's the persistent attacks on people's first.
Is there no possibility that Blaire White heard what people like Milo Stewart were saying and disagreed with them? Doesn't Contra drink on stream? Yeah. I should I should sit there and get blind drunk. Always with the alcohol. I don't know. We can find like one example, I guess. Okay, let's see if
sense that these people are appropriating trans. You seem to, I mean, and to be fair, like the reason you seem to do this seems to be
blah blah blah. You seem to. It's very vibes based. It seems, but we're gonna check in a sec.
You come from some sense that these people are appropriating trans identities or something like that.
Either they're appropriating trans identities,
but that's the one most charitable interpretation of it. Otherwise, it seems like you're simply holding them up as freaks to be laughed at,
or showing them off as freaks. Which, by the way, interesting. That video, that cringe video, a lot of references to this kind of freak show thing that she's hinting at here. But let's see if either of those things fit this video, for example.
Guys, so today is going to be a little bit of a rant. I'm in a ranty mood. I feel like there's so much bullshit put out there in the world by the transgender community, which unfortunately is comprised mostly of social justice warriors. So I'm kind of just going to address one by one the talking points that I hate the most. Being transgender is an aspect of what you are.
Talking points.
It shouldn't be who you are. If the most interesting thing you have to describe yourself is that you're trans, you're boring. You should get like a hobby or a job or something. And it's something you're born with, like blue eyes, black hair, a dead twin. It's really not an accomplishment or something to be proud of. It just is what it is. Someone who doesn't want to date or fuck a tranny does not mean they're transphobic. It means they have a preference and you just don't fit the preference. Just because you can't get a date doesn't mean you can blame it on bigotry, okay? Stop expecting the world to...
Okay, we're not really seeing like Milo Stewart, so this probably isn't a good example, but we're talking about like opinions, you know what I mean? I don't know, man. What's an example? We need an example. We've mostly got people shitting on her because that tends to happen a lot. Okay, we'll use Riley Dennis as the example. So, is it about being annoyed that people are, appropriating trans identity, or is it a freak show? Because remember, those are the two options. They're the only two options that ContraPoints is allowed, aka these are the only options that ContraPoints can conceive of, and is now projecting that onto Blaire White potentially. Let's have a look. The dumbest Riley J. Dennis video so far. Remember the two options.
You're anti-trans.
So Riley Dennis has one of those YouTube channels that I just
Thank you, Trayvon Williams. Thank you for following.
have a really hard time not responding to. Most of the time, I just find Riley comical, like when he made t-shirts that said there are more than two genders, but when you went to buy them at checkout, you could only select two genders. And you have to admit, you kind of played yourself there, Riley. My own merch coming soon, by the way. But occasionally he makes videos that I actually find so dumb and so inaccurate that I get angry. That is today's video. Why would a queer person support Muslims? That's the title of this video, and in this video, Riley attempts to explain that Islam isn't really that bad, and it's completely compatible with homosexuality. Right. Islam is about as compatible with homosexuality as Onision is with girls past their 18th birthday. Or as compatible as Shuan Head is with, adult clothing. She's gonna kill me. But now on to the video.
I get a lot of comments across various social media platforms that go something like this. Why do you defend Muslims? They would kill you for being transgender.
I mean, obviously not all Muslims, but I don't really know how anyone could deny the persecution faced by LGBT people in Islamic countries, but you'd be fine, Riley. I mean, all you really have to do is, wipe off your eyeliner and you blend right in, since that's all you've done in your transition.
Try going to Saudi Arabia. They would stone you for...
There is a suggestion of appropriation, for sure, which, I don't know, it's not something I really care about anymore. It's something I probably would have been more bothered by a few years ago.
being gay.
Where exactly is the lie in that?
These comments are frustrating because, for one, they show a deep misunderstanding of Islam.
Okay, what you call a deep misunderstanding of Islam is what I call a basic understanding of reality. Being gay is illegal or punishable by death in almost every single Islamic country, and sexuality should be accepted by society. 3%, that's a fucking consensus. I really don't understand.
He's arguing with the arguments. I can't be fucked. I don't need to. Nick is completely ignoring the idea that maybe she objects to a lot of what these people are saying, and that's the basis. This is the same shit that I get from people. This is incredibly bad faith. What's happening here is Nick can only conceive of either it's about being annoyed about appropriation or you're just being mean to people. So that's what we're projecting on. Those are the two terms. There's no room for you're making these videos because you disagree with these people. And that's incredibly unfair, honestly.
So there's that. Then there's the persistent attacks on people's first personal appearance. The fact that Zinnia Jones made a very carefully worded, searched refutation of some of your points about trans children, and you responded by attacking her teeth. This just seems to me like it's kind of bully behavior.
Here's how I see it. I very rarely, I don't think I've ever just straight up gone to someone's lips out of nowhere without provocation. I don't think I ever have. When it came to making the joke about her teeth, it was after she said that I was enacting trans genocide. Is that a little worse than making fun of someone's yellow teeth? I don't know. I think that kind of...
Did that happen? Okay. We've got a new thing that we need to put on the thing. Oh, hi Tim, good to see you. We've got a new thing that we need to look into, and that's the Zinnia Jones versus Blaire White thing. If someone says that they think I'm enacting trans genocide, and I call them a fucking retard, I think that's personally about proportional, I would say.
And I think
that Zinnia was making a good faith judgment about the intellectual substance of your videos. I think you responded.
You just mentioned trans genocide, and your response is it was a good faith. Mate, do you believe that there's a trans genocide? What? Like, are you just ignoring when she speaks or something?
Zinnia was making a good faith judgment about the intellectual substance of your videos.
By saying she's a genocider?
I think you responded with an attack on her.
Okay. Calm
You
down.
think that her saying that I was enacting transgenocide reflected good
Did you use
judgment
the
on
word
her?
genocide in that video?
I'm talking I was enacting transgenocide reflected good
Did you use
judgment
the
on
word
her.
genocide in that video?
I'm talking about on Twitter. That was when I talked about her teeth was on Twitter. Actually, I probably did do it in the video as well. But the reason why I don't respect Zinnia Jones is because she constantly accuses me of crazy shit like that.
Or was it on Twitter? It wasn't in a video. I still need to look into it because I don't know. Jesus Christ, look at this genderanalysis.net. Oh, by Zinnia Jones. Blaire White, disguising dishonesty as objectivity. How nice. Transgender youth fact check. Well, these are the first things that come up when I see genocide. Does it include that word though? Hang on. Listen, we're doing all this weird shit now. I just don't care. I just don't really. Please accept cookies. How nice. I don't want to watch the fucking video. Okay, it doesn't say genocide on this one. If it was on Twitter, we're not going to find it, to be fair. But if someone says that about you, like, I don't know. Someone tells me that I'm a genocider, I'm going to call you a fucking retard. That's just how it is. Okay, there's no mention of genocide here. I don't know. I'll look into that another time, I guess.
Crazy shit like you are killing trans people and genocide. That's why I don't respect her.
Oh. Oh, thank you, Mehmet Ali Kodel. Thank you. Yeah, because Nick is just not engaging. Well, this person's called me a genocider. I don't know. I think making fun of someone's teeth after they called you a fucking genocider, like, is fair enough, no?
On Twitter. Actually, I probably did do it in the video as well. But the reason why I don't respect Zinnia Jones is because she constantly accuses me of crazy shit like that. Crazy shit like you are killing trans people, trans genocide. That's why I don't respect her.
Well, it just seems like this is so ridiculous.
But the reason why I don't respect Zinnia Jones is because she constantly accuses me of crazy shit like that. Crazy shit like you are killing trans people.
It seems like this is just, oh, well, it seems that you're just doing, like, oh, it's pathetic. He's not engaging. Why won't you engage with what she's saying here? Why not?
Trans genocide. That's why I don't respect her.
Guys, wait.
Just more passive-aggressive mumbling. There we go. There's the new hot fucking debate tactic from fucking 2017. Just mumble passive-aggressively whenever someone fucking makes a good point against you. Zinnia today is even more insane, if you can imagine that. I think I had a brief interaction with Zinnia Jones. She was immediately very hostile because I disagreed with something, but I can't truthfully remember, and I can't exactly show it because I don't know how to look up older shit on Twitter. I fucking hate Twitter anyway. But yeah, I watched a couple of older Zinnia Jones videos, and they were fucking weird. There was the one with her, like, weird polycule girlfriend. They look almost exactly the same. Like, one of them's a female and one of them's a male. They both have the same short haircut that's, like, dyed the same color. And they both, like, wear the same glasses. And it's, like, so fucking creepy. And this fucking weird woman's, like, talking about, like, her two trans girlfriends' feminine penises, like, doing this with, like, ice lollies. You know, that kind of shit. It was so strange. Like I said, and will continue to say probably the rest of my life, I could have watched those videos and been put off transitioning forever. Holy shit. I wish I did now. I didn't really. I'm happy with the way my life has gone, in some ways at least.
Wait, you're talking at the same time.
Okay. To me, I think to most rational people, accusing someone of supporting genocide or, like she said, enacting genocide is a little bit worse than saying you got yellow teeth. Okay. So that's the way I see it, that people are constantly making these insane, hyperbolic, like, just horrible things said to me, and then I respond with, well, your teeth are gross.
Yeah, you got to engage with what the other person's doing. If someone's bullying you, and then you bully them back, why would you only deal with it one way?
Which is worse? I mean, which are you really going to have an issue?
So here's how I understand the genocide comment. I take it that this is a reference to your opposition to children transitioning and your comments suggesting things like that there ought to be a cure for transgenderism, or that there should be, that you wish there should be some kind of cure. Yeah, well, so that sounds like you wish to eliminate the existence of
That's incredibly bad faith. Incredibly, ridiculously bad faith.
Trans people, which could...
And all this, it sounds like, well, it seems like, yeah, well, it just kind of comes across like it's so cringe. So fucking cringe.
But, okay, so the term genocide is almost always hyperbolic, but it does, in this case,
Oh, did your brain kick in for a second there? Well done.
describe it. I mean, this is the position that she's critiquing. And to me, it's a good faith critique that she's giving of you.
No, it's not. If you were making a good faith critique because someone says they think there should be a cure, you might say, don't you think some people are probably happier this way or something like that? You might want to build up to the genocide thing where it's like, I think the kind of thing to do than allow fucking people to transition is to just flamethrower anyone that wants to transition. Then yeah, maybe jump to the genocide shit. That's not a genocide. Trans is not a genus. Yeah, I mean, it's debatable. Yeah.
And
I can see why you'd use the word, I guess. And it's not that I don't necessarily see the argument, but it's completely excessive. It's completely flagrant. It's completely putting a position in someone's head that they have not espoused at all.
And then you're responding not by denying the critique, by attacking her physical appearance.
Not by denying the critique. Someone calling you a genocider, would you take that seriously enough to deny it potentially?
Which is like, this is just not the
you're saying that
equivalent things.
You're saying that I should seriously engage her when she says that I'm enacting genocide, that I should really pick that apart and really respond, like an adult to someone saying that I enact genocide. How would you respond to the accusation that you want to eliminate trans people? What? That's like saying that I want a cure for autism, and that means I want to eliminate autistic people. You know what? I actually would greatly enjoy.
Yeah, I tell you what, by the way, it actually can't be a genocide to want a cure for something, because those people don't die. They still exist. So actually, no, I've changed my mind. That's a fucking bullshit argument. Nick is a fucking bullshit artist by pretending to engage with it the way he is when he knows better. He must do. Like, how fucking cooked in the brain do you have to be to come to this kind of fucking conclusion? And like, the weirdest thing is, his videos seemed like fucking smart back in the day. But like, now I want to watch them back and be like, shit, like, what was actually going on here? Why is Contra wearing a wig from Party City's Halloween section? I don't know. Genderqueers and good taste are very rarely in the same fucking room. Oh, don't worry about it, Bonghole. I'm too busy sawing out to this anyway.
Joy if gender dysphoria was wiped off the planet and no one had to suffer with it, because there's a...
Yeah, you're not killing anyone by doing that. Like, there's not a genocide. The idea that you can call that genocidal is retarded, and she shouldn't have to deal with that as if it's a real argument, because it's not a real argument. Is Zinnia Jones being a retard?
Very small amount of people who actually transition and can actually alleviate their dysphoria.
True, most people don't even, she's going to say the same thing I am, most people's transition doesn't even alleviate a dysphoria. I still have a fair amount of gender dysphoria because there's only so far I could take my transition. And if you can only take it so far and you can't afford to get all your fucking face cut up and stuff to get you 1% closer or whatever, then what the fuck do you do? You're living with this shit for the rest of your life. I don't know, man. I don't know.
People suffer with this, and a lot of people kill themselves over it. So yes, I do want a cure.
Yeah, it happens. Do I want a cure? I don't know about that, but it's not fucking... It is not genocide. I'm sorry. No, I have completely changed my opinion. It's not a good argument. It's not something you would even ramp up to because the other person's saying crazy shit. I mean, when I said I want to kill trans people, yeah, that's kind of an argument. But she's not advocating for killing them. She's advocating for curing something. Saying people are enacting genocide is a KYS level internet own at this point. Yeah. I used to dig contrapoints. She was pretty fun at one point. I'm starting to wonder if I watched any of her old stuff, bearing in mind it's been deleted. I have to go find it. Whether I even agree with half of it anymore. Like, Jesus Christ.
I do want another option that isn't, transition. Transition is very faulty. It's very faulty. That's not me wanting to eliminate them as people or enact genocide. That's me saying, you know what? It would really be great if people didn't have to struggle with their gender because we had something that cured that. But then you see how it gets twisted by people who are so dedicated to their perception that I'm the fucking Antichrist, that because I want a cure to stop people from their suffering, that means I want to like eliminate them and destroy them. That's so fucking ridiculous. And then for you to say that I should, that was good judgment or well measured and I should like really engage with that idea, I think it's ridiculous.
What? I don't get mood swings. What are you talking about? I can't say that with a straight face. I'm sorry.
I have to engage with someone who thinks that I'm fucking a Nazi, I guess. That's ridiculous. I don't have to prove I'm not a Nazi.
I guess I just think that if you...
I just think that it's so annoying. It's so annoying. Constantly got to find some way to disagree with something fairly, uncontroversial.
Examine the belief. There's at least like something to it that's beyond... I don't think it's an entirely frivolous accusation. I mean, I think that...
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. Like, you're actually okay with people saying this kind of thing about each other. You're actually okay with, like, basic slander, you know what I mean? You're basically okay with the way that words are used for so many different things now, that the original meaning, the deaths of millions of Jews, is, like, practically laughable to think about now. Like, is it not a bit disgusting to compare the mass murder of Jews to someone who thinks that maybe trans should have a cure? Is that not a bit ghoulish in a way?
The point stands that... So again...
point stands what?
I understand that you're saying that like you want to eliminate gender dysphoria. Yes, gender dysphoria is bad and it'd be good to get rid of that. But to say that, you know, the idea of doing that... You know, if you say these statistics about trans suicide and so on.
I didn't give any statistics.
I mean, how much of these cases often comes from simply the...
Oh, but now I'll just start picking apart a different thing instead of acknowledging that actually Zinnia Jones made a fucking ridiculous argument that possibly could have got her done for slander. It's lucky that didn't happen, in fact.
The difficulty of living as trans in a society that's very prejudiced against them. So to say the solution is like, let's just, because it seems that the activism should be focused on acceptance for trans people and not on saying, oh, I wish that we could just get rid of this.
Why can't we do both though? That's like saying that you can't simultaneously fight for people to be kind to autistic people and also look for a cure. How about we do both? That'd be great. That would be great, because actually insisting on this, just be kind and just accept people and don't worry about...
Yeah, the problem with the be kind shit is that people are just not always going to be kind. The problem is there are just people that are assholes. It doesn't matter what you say or what you do. They're going to have a problem with you. They might call you a genocider or something.
It's all normal, everything's fine. That actually leads to political correctness, which leads to there not being any research into a cure, which exacerbates all the suffering. Gender dysphoria is a bitch. I don't know if you experience dysphoria. It's a bitch. It can be very debilitating. There was a point in my life where it was just fucking my life up, okay? And that's why I transitioned. But when I transitioned, I was 20 years old, right? I have been lucky that I haven't developed that many male secondary sex characteristics.
Listen, I'm going to say something. I'm no longer, like, if I have a debate with someone, I'm not opening up to that person. What I found was, and I tried to explain stuff like this to at least one of my former friends, former acquaintances that like turned on me over this kind of shit. When I tried opening up about how I feel because of like actual life experiences, actual life circumstances that I have, it just gets turned back against me. And I don't have time for that shit. I don't want to associate with anyone that would do that to me, quite frankly. That's why that fucking Sam idiot is not anywhere near me anymore. And is not welcome in my areas anymore. Because so many of these fucking people, they just have no ability to empathize and no ability to see that maybe there's actually like some unique circumstances that has led someone up to a certain fucking perspective. Instead, it's just, oh, well, maybe other people have that. Oh, well, I have that too, and I'm not like that. Like, no ability to empathize. And I'm not fucking dealing with that shit ever again, quite honestly. So, I don't think opening up to people is a good idea, quite frankly.
I'm a short person. I'm not a...
Online people seem to like to talk in extremes. I'm so sorry. Calling Blaire genocidal. If he's genocidal, what are we supposed to call someone like Hitler? Yeah, exactly. It's practically an insult to the fucking descendants of the millions of Jews that were fucking murdered. To start throwing things like that shit in a debate, everything is a weapon, it's politics. I disagree. Like, I don't think it's cool. I think you can still behave like a civilized human being in a debate. You can still show a bit of empathy in a debate and understand where somebody's coming from instead of just using shit against them. And like, a lot of the things that I'm talking about, they weren't even fucking debates. They were just disagreements on like a thing that I said on fucking Facebook or something. Or like on my Discord. Like, I'm not going around debating people constantly. That's not my thing. So like, I don't really expect people to lack that kind of respect for me when I don't think that I disrespect people in that way. I hope not. Like, maybe I have, I don't know. Someone can point that fucking shit out to me. I don't know. But my point is, like, it feels like opening up to people like this, you're just giving them ammunition. And there's not many people that will take this and actually empathize. I mean, I guess we'll see what Contra does with it. Like, might not be the case, but I don't know. I have a lot of my own frustrations with that kind of shit.
6'5" linebacker with a rug on their back, body hair, okay? I was very lucky. But that's not the case with a lot of people. You can't tell me that 6'5" linebacker transitioning, they're going to live a good life and that's fine. No, I would love for there to
Lily Tino.
I would love for there to be a case with a lot of people. You can't tell me that 6'5" linebacker transitioning, they're going to live a good life and that's fine. No, I would love for there to be. I would love for there to be.
Wait, let Blaire finish really quick.
My point is, I would love for there to be something else for that person, that individual who's sitting there at 6'5", trying to live the life as a woman. They never will. It'll probably just exacerbate their dysphoria because they'll never be able to enter any spaces and be perceived as a woman. So if there was an alternative.
Yeah, Lily Tino, great example. I guess this is long pre-Lily Tino. She was still, I think her name was Nick as well, Christ.
That would be amazing. But you guys turn it around that I want to fucking eliminate trans people because I want a cure for their suffering. That's so ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, just take the fucking L. Just take the L that someone's saying that someone's a genocider is not okay. Why are people so obsessed with never conceding anything ever? So fucking annoying.
A lot of trans people don't experience. So I understand that that is some trans people's experience.
Let Contra go now.
But many trans people do not experience their condition of being trans as a permanent, like, life-ruining affliction of some kind.
Many do.
You know? Maybe many.
It's not being trans, it's the fucking dysphoria she's talking about. Listen, I don't know that she's going the full sociopath route here, which is better than nothing, I guess. But just own the fact that calling someone like this a genocider is fucking ridiculous. Stop sticking up for fucking retards like Zinnia Jones. Someone like that, who will say something like that about someone like Blaire, is not worth sticking up for. Like, what are you fucking doing?
Many do, but many also
Why are we that obsessed with not taking an L?
Don't. And so for the people who don't, the people who actually seem to have found peace with their gender identity and enjoy themselves.
What the point is, some of it works for some of them, but not others. But there's no other options. And everything else gets called like gender, like, what is it called? Conversion therapy. And then someone says that they wish there was a different fucking way around this. And then, like, you call them a genocider. Like, it's pretty fucking gross.
The suggestion that they should be other than they are seems like a sort of attack on their
be other than they are. That's what they're doing by fucking transitioning. Like, oh my god.
Identity. So it's got. I mean, you have to see why this is an issue that's people are sensitive about.
Dude, there are people who find peace with the fact that they're dying of cancer too and can peacefully just slip away. People can find peace with it, but it's still a lot of suffering for a lot of fucking people. And even those people who find peace for it, at one point they're probably suffering really badly. Why is a cure, wanting a cure is, even Farron Meyer said this, that me wanting a cure means that I advocated for conversion therapy. And it's like, it's so fucking ridiculous. It's like, the way I feel is that you guys are so dedicated to this perception that I am a hater, that I hate trans people, that it's so ridiculous. You guys can't see me as a normal person who just has a fucking opinion.
Well, I just don't think having an opinion is like a defense of the opinion. I mean, we're
what's the opinion? That you want a cure for something? Like, why can't you take the L on this? Why can't you accept that it's not okay to call someone a fucking genocider for that level of whatever, of rhetoric or something?
I'm attacking.
No, it's not. But it's not. But it's also not. You can't also take that and go straight to that opinion means she wants to fucking kill trans people. You also can't do that.
I'll grant that people take things too far.
Really, Nibba? Really? Just accept that your friend's a fucking dipshit. Are you that scared of Zinnia Jones? Is a fucking polycule gonna come and fucking fuck you up if you don't play defense for them? Why? Why are you doing this?
When they criticize statements like that. But I do at least, so the point I'm making is that I do
Well, sometimes people go too far. Do you know what that is? It's called, what's the word? Downplaying. I'm a better debater than Blair. That is not true, but thank you. I appreciate that. I suck at fucking debating people. I'm not good at it.
I think at least there's a point there worth engaging with that's not simply...
No, there's not. No,
not simply justified by retaliating by personal attacks.
There's no point engaging with someone who thinks that I'm fucking enacting genocide. That's pretty
true.
Fucking ridiculous. I wouldn't. That's why I didn't. That's why I just said your teeth are fucked up.
But what have like Riley Dennis and Dakota Hendricks and
Hasn't even really, like, that's gross. Just take the L. I'm so sick of this like fucking debate pervert culture where no one ever like actually meaningfully concedes on anything anymore. When more evidence or more context is provided to making fun of Xenia Jones's teeth, and it's about calling them a fucking genocide. Just take the L. Like, this makes you sound crazy. Okay, we've got most replayed. We'll keep going a little longer. I do have to stop soon because I need to start getting food ready. And also this is like driving me insane. Like, I thought I'd already lost all respect for contrapoints. Like the worst thing is just I can't tell if I'd have watched this back in the day. Like, would I have gone along with this? Would I really have been cool with this shit?
Milo Stewart done to deserve this treatment?
What was the worst thing I said to Dakota Hendricks, the guy with the safety pin in his nose?
Well, it was just I found it a mean-spirited video responding to a person.
Yeah, it was bitchy. It was bitchy. I make bitchy videos sometimes.
Yeah, but it was a person who was earnestly pleading for respect, and your response to that was to sort of encourage.
No. It was an authoritarian making a heated video about how cis people are stupid and they have to bow to his every whim, and if they.
Yeah, so she disagrees with them, so she's like disagreeing with them. What have they done that's so bad? It's not about that. It's about someone saying something and putting that out into the world and someone else criticizing that. This is like saying, well, what have you got against the people that made this shitty game that you didn't like and you've done a bad review of? It's ridiculous.
They don't, then they're a bigot. That's what that video was. And I take issue with authoritarianism surrounding the conversation of transgenderism, because that's not actually how you gain acceptance. You gain acceptance by building bridges, not by saying, these are my terms, abide by them, or you're a fucking bigot. That's not how it works, okay? And I think the amount of people who comment on my channel saying, and I'm not trying to big myself up, but I have a lot of people who comment on my channel saying that their only perception of trans people.
Yeah, as soon as I look this person up, pronouns are not preferred, they're not a preference, they're mandatory. That's ridiculous. That's an insane fucking statement to make. That's incredibly authoritarian. And now you've got a problem with this person criticizing them? Oh, they're a bit mean? What about the actual shit they said? Has Contra ever actually watched any of this person's videos? Why are we just casting everything aside, any kind of argumentation, for the sake of, you're a bit mean? This person looks insane. What is this? This is, like, what is on your head? What is in your nose? I don't give a fuck. Call me a fucking bully. I don't give a single shit.
My pronouns are not preferred. They're not a preference. They are mandatory for interaction with me.
Shut the fuck up. No one cares. Know your fucking place, trash.
Oof. There we go. I guess I should call this person a bully, despite the fact that
my pronouns are not preferred.
That this is insanely cringe. This is insanely ridiculous. Contra probably unironically agrees with that person because their politics are the same. Hey, maybe. Like, what is this? And then like Milo Stewart, I forget exactly what that fucking person was saying. Is this Rita Wallace pre-transition? Oh no, but Mischief has some pictures. Frida used to do the kind of goth guy thing. Looked a bit like a sort of new wave, a guy in like a new wave band or whatever. Survived an online harassment campaign. Wow. Oh, they're still going. 13k views. I felt pressure to be polyamorous and it sucks. Yes, our culture fucking sucks. That's why, presumably. Haven't actually watched. Stopping testosterone, it doesn't equal detransition. Okay, nice. Another, what is it? Yes, abolish police and prisons. Oh, I can't see why this person might be criticized for their crazy views. Abolish police and prisons. Like, are you fucking nuts? Why can't it be that Blaire White is offering criticism? And yeah, maybe saying some kind of mean shit. But like, why prioritize someone saying mean shit over the criticism? That's called bad faith. That's called cherry picking. You're ignoring all the probably many points this person has made about someone that thinks that the fucking police and prisons should be abolished. What, so murderers can fucking run rampant? Like, where are you going to put them? What do you do if someone breaks into your house and has one of your lovers fucking at gunpoint and you're in the other room? Who are you going to call if you abolish the police? I don't fucking know. Is this Evan Loves Wharf YouTube channel? Not that I'm aware of, but that person is ridiculous. This is so cooked, man. This is so fucking cooked.
Was the Riley Dennises, was the Milo Stewarts, was the Dakota Hendrixes. And they had a horrible fucking perception of them. Okay, so I don't understand. Like, I make bitchy videos. If that's the worst thing that you can like say, I don't know. I make bitchy videos. I admit to that.
Again, this idea that these people are authoritarians, in my experience,
they are. They support laws that
you have an activist who is so again. I can also understand if it's a critique of of methods as an activist. Yes, it's probably not good activism to go around accusing everyone of being bigot the minute they fuck anything up. Agreed. But in my experience, people who are like that generally lower the defenses very quickly if you show them a little bit of kindness and make.
Okay, this is retarded. I'm gonna look at one more thing extremely quickly, and then we're gonna stop. I think the pissed up lawyer has found me. Did Amaya? Oh, okay, this was brought to my attention. I think Amaya sent this. To pissed up lawyer XYZ Creative. I'm live right now, mate. You can't chat to me because I need to stop in a minute. Who is this? All things guitar. He plays guitar. I know that much. I'm an utter loser and stupid to you. Okay, assuming this is pissed up lawyer. We're talking like, this person's a lawyer. Sorry, this person's a loser and stupid. Is it based on anything? Oh, hi, Black Harvest. I'm not going on much longer. Let's just do this really quickly. So Amaya clearly has sent this video that I made about pissed up lawyer and Amaya talking about Fred Sargent to pissed up lawyer. I'm going to guess that's what this person is. If you are someone else, then I don't know. I'm an utter loser and stupid to you. That's fine, but you should really hear yourself. Okay, no you argument's amazing. That's the best you got. No you. Oh, and I'm a criminal defense attorney who fights bad cops for a living. Meaningless, don't care. No idea if you're any good at your job. Plenty of shitty lawyers out there. Fights bad cops. You sound like a loser just for that. I've seen it all. You have no experience compared to me there. Compared to you on fucking being a criminal defense attorney. I don't give much of a fuck. I don't want to be a criminal defense attorney. But go ahead and keep criticizing me. Yes, I will. I will. Especially when you do all this kind of weird shit constantly. Bigots hate it when we refuse to be afraid. Who are you talking about? Oh, it's not defining. Holy shit, not defining. The guy that sounds like fucking Robert Webb. Well, my haters try to drag me, record me in every space I'm in, blah, blah, blah. Like, you fucking talking about, you sad cunt. Trans people are under direct attack. You don't know what direct attack means if that's what you think. A criminal defense attorney has no time to spend on Twitter. Maybe I should respond with that. Someone made a very long and hateful rant about me on X last night. This is how we end it. Then I saw J.K. Rowling was in the... Still talking about J.K. Rowling. Oh yeah, and stop claiming to be Romani. We've had this discussion. I've got the receipts. Wait, so we're just ignoring... What are the receipts? What are the receipts, though? What are the receipts? Fights bad cops and harasses gay people. Yep. Is cool with telling their friends to kill them. Their friends telling them to kill themselves. How nice. How nice. I'm a biracial human, half Romani. So they're saying, I've got receipts and you're not a Romani. And they're just saying, no, actually I am. Like when we talk about the receipts, what receipts are we talking about? Why won't you at least engage in that? Rebellious. Rebellious Romani soul. Yeah, I'm so sorry, Black Harvest. If it helps, usually I start around 2:30-ish British time. I usually don't go on this long, but I am today. Wait, I was raised in Romani culture. That's not even the same. It's not like a DNA test. Well, I don't know. What receipts have they got? You're just saying no. Oh, hi, John Cable Breckenridge. I'm not going on much longer, but it's good to see you. I have to stop soon because I have to get food on. But anyway. But go ahead and keep criticizing me. Yes, I will. I had to stop watching because this is so boring. Nope, you had to stop watching because it was hurting your fifis. Have a nice day, Mary. I don't even know who you are, but this was brought to my attention. There we go. Pissed off lawyer. Reached out to me. Doesn't know who I am. They've responded to me on Twitter before, by the way. Fuck TERFs. I think I need to like watch some of this shit. Oh, here we go. This is from a gay man, Matt Bernstein. We will not concede to Nazis. I am not conceding an inch of my support for transgender people just because half the government is attacking them and the other half is blah, blah, blah. This is nuts. All this shit that you're pushing is fucking dumb. Like, trans healthcare is a miracle. Any other medical intervention had the success rate that trans healthcare does. Why is our suicide rate so high then? Why is our suicide rate so high? Even post-op. What the fuck are you retweeting, you dumb shit? You're a fucking... You're a criminal defense attorney, and you're pretending that's some kind of thing. This is pathetic. And now you're like shitting on someone who voted for Trump. And that their husband's getting deported. Is that funny? I'm glad you feel like you can shit on other people's misfortune. Because they voted differently to you. You are a fucking loser. You're a sad fucking cunt. You're a loser. You're the most pathetic person on the entire fucking Twitter app. And that's saying something. Because there are many, many extremely pathetic people. Most of which are in your retweets. You're like sticking your nose up fucking Sophie Molly's ass. Sophie Molly is a sad fucking prick. Who needs to accept that he's a man. You need to accept that you're a woman. I wonder how those LGBT minus the T fascist bootlickers feel about this. Like, Jesus Christ. And this fucking person, they used to at J.K. Rowling constantly. And then J.K. Rowling would respond. And then they'd cry about all this harassment they're supposedly getting, which might be true. I'm not cool with it the other way either. It's ridiculous. It's pathetic. I had to stop watching because it's so boring. Sure, bro. Sure. There we go. There we go. There we go. I hit my monitor. I did. I'll have to make it a bit higher next time. But yeah, there we go. Pissed up lawyer. Let's pin that, I think. Mate, you and your mate were making threats about fucking Fred Sargent on your Twitter fucking live, saying it with your own voices. Like, holy shit. What more do you want exactly? What more do you want? He's being called harassment. Yeah, this person harasses J.K. Rowling. They constantly at people like J.K. Rowling. Isn't that harassment? Isn't constantly atting someone? Is that not harassment?
And kill himself and die. I have Mr. Fred Sargent posting about me every day with.
He posts about J.K. Rowling every day, and he's whining about Fred Sargent posting about him every day. Because you post ridiculous shit every day. Ridiculous, untrue shit every day. You lie. You propagandize. You make trans people look like fucking retards, frankly.
It's all this fucking fan art about me.
Oh, no fan art. You put yourself out there in a certain way. You harass others. You attack others. People do it back to you. And now you're whining about people doing the same shit. You can dish it out, but you can't take it. That's how it is, bro. That's how it is.
Well, so, I mean, fans to just fucking die. Yeah. Just tell him to go.
There's Amaya, by the way. Tell him to go die.
Go fuck himself and kill himself and die, man.
That's Amaya. She was in my chat earlier.
Well, then you get banned when you say that, so I have to ring.
I love. Then you get banned. He's not
Mary.
even.
Like and subscribe. And donate. Only 18 hours to go. Thanks, Mary, for all you do.
Oh, thank you so much, Petunia. Thank you for the $5. Yeah, and he's not even like disavowing it really. Oh, well, I shouldn't say that because I'll get told off on this platform. Like, really, Nibber? You actually are down with this shit. You would tell him to go kill himself if you thought he'd get away with it.
When you say that, so I have to ring it in himself and kill himself and die, man.
Yeah, apparently Amaya had a head injury, so all this apparently is perfectly fine.
Well, then you get banned when you say that, so I have to ring it in.
Listen, the thing appears that's not Amaya talking. The one that sounds like he's crying is Hendrix. Sorry, aka Erica.
Oh my god, just find out his phone number, call him up and tell him off. That's a good idea. I probably could find his.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. There we go. I think that'll do. I think that'll do. Someone liked it. Was that Amaya? She's not very happy with me, is she? You're not very happy with me. I mean, I don't know who else would have seen this 11 minutes ago and immediately liked it. I know exactly what's going on. I'm not dumb.
His phone number? Yeah.
Can one send money to you on YouTube? Nope, you cannot. I am not monetized, although YouTube takes like quite a big cut anyway. So even if that was possible, generally Streamlabs is like the preferred way. Although people obviously should have the choice, but unfortunately I'm not monetized.
That's a good idea. I probably would. Oh my god, just find out his phone number.
Amaya, find out his phone number.
Call him up and tell him off.
Call him up and tell him off. Earlier she said tell him to kill himself, by the way.
That's a good idea.
That's a good idea. Finding his fucking number? That's a good idea. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I probably could find his phone number. Yeah. He's just like...
This person has the fucking nerve to come to my shit and like mouth off. I'm a criminal defense attorney who fights bad cops. You should know better. If you're pretending that you're these things, which maybe you are, I don't fucking know. I don't care to fucking... whatever. I have no experience compared to you there. Like, okay, bro. Okay, bro. 3 more comments. Really? Holy shit. I'm actually 5'9". You're really slow. I feel bad for you. Oh, one more thing. You can make fun of my content, but you have 290 followers on Twitter, by the way, as if I care about how many fucking followers I have on Twitter. And I have almost 21k. Maybe you should take some tips. That's very insecure, bro. It's very insecure. Wait. How come we're complaining, by the way, about harassment? How come we're complaining about harassment? Oh, by the way, oh, and one more thing. Wasn't one more thing, was it? Because that was 5 minutes ago. And this was 59 seconds ago. How can you complain about harassment? That's like how many fucking things you've left on my shit. Holy fucking shit. I think I need to keep refreshing because they're probably still fucking rage posting. I stopped watching. I'm just going to keep leaving fucking things. I'm arguing with a 10-year-old. This person, this pissed up lawyer person, which by the way, they've pretty much outed themselves. It definitely is this person by now. Definitely. 20.8k followers. Yes, there we go. Confirmation. Confirmation. Max follows you. Fucking Max follows you. The guy that told me to kill myself in his fucking thing. I'm starting to see a pattern with you fucking TRA freaks. Holy shit. Yeah, 28, almost 21k. Like clowning on my fucking follower number. I don't know, there's a different number here. Could at least clown on that one. How many YouTube subscribers you got, Erica? How many? How many? Yeah. This person is in their 40s. Pissed up lawyer is in his 40s. This person is decently older than I am. I definitely should find this. Holy shit. Holy shit. Schoolgirl Max. Yeah.
I'm trying.
The one constantly calling me a cunt and like flipping out at me in this so-called debate that we're having. And by the way, who's the harasser? Who's the harasser? 4 comments, like immediately. Like, holy shit. Holy shit. This is nuts. What is wrong with you? You're in your 40s and you're doing this shit. I tell you what, Erica, drop by sometime. My Discord is linked. Drop by. We can talk. I'll tell you what my problems are with you. Here's one. You harass people and then complain when other people harass you back. Holy shit. Oh my God. He's got the mental maturity of an 8-year-old. I think that is being quite generous, to be honest. Saying that Erica has the mental maturity of an 8-year-old is, quite frankly, an insult to 8-year-olds. I had to stop watching 16 minutes ago, and then 59 seconds ago, they're still leaving comments. So you stopped watching, and then just carried on fucking rage posting with the video not even playing. Holy fucking shit. It's somehow understandable now that Pissed Up Lawyer and Kai Shapley's mother are fighting for the same stuff. Yep. You'd think they wouldn't tell someone to kill themselves if they wouldn't want someone else to do that to them. Yeah, you'd think so. But these people are cry bullies. Sophie Molly, another cry bully. I have a video on her. Can't remember how good it was. It was a long time ago. This person, utter cry bully. You don't like being criticized. You don't like criticism. That's your problem. You didn't like being criticized. Probably made a bit of a tear start forming. Dribbling down a little bit, maybe. So there you go. What's the plus meaning? Bestiality, pedo? Yep, all that and more, probably. I don't know. I'm denouncing all of that shit. Fuck that shit. That's what this fucking freak stands for, by the way. I'm actually 5'9". I'm an inch taller than you in that case. Because I'm 5'10". Fuck you. And I'm like 10 years younger than you. How does that feel? How many YouTube subscribers you got? You wanna talk about follower counts? You wanna talk about follower counts? We were all just fucking around. I wouldn't call that bastard. Listen, Martin, you don't even know me. Who's Martin? But just like everyone else. Oh, do they think my dead name is Martin? It's not Martin. You won't guess it. You won't guess it, Erica. But just like everyone else, you have lots of opinions about. I have opinions about the way you conduct yourself and put yourself out there on the internet. Like, wow. Wow. I don't believe you. You're outing yourself with that shit. That's what that is. When they speak, believe them. Believe them. Did they actually call me Martin? All right, my name's Martin now. It's the Martin Chew, everybody. My name is the Martin Chew. Everybody call me the Martin Chew. Otherwise, you are not respecting my newfound male gender identity. Yeah, Mildred. They could have come up with a better name than Martin. They're just fucking around. These people are like extremist fucking crazy people. I don't trust you that you're just fucking around. Not gonna happen. Yeah, it is pissed off lawyer. Literally, they say, you have 290 followers on Twitter. I have almost 21k. Who has almost 21k followers on Twitter? Nope. That's 2 letters, 2 L's. You like the name Martin? Well, get used to it. This is the Martin shoe now. Fucking pissed up lawyer said so. Yeah. Who has almost 21k followers? The pissed off lawyer. Who was in this footage saying it was a good idea to get someone's phone number of someone that you clearly have a lot of beef with? Pissed off lawyer. Oh my God. Holy shit. Crazy. There we go. There you go. You want to come chat sometime, America? Well, don't use this one because it's probably out of date, but on my newest video or on my stream, there is a link to my Discord. Send me a message. We can chat sometime. I'll tell you what my actual problems with you are. Largely, to spoil it, it's all this shit. It's all this bullshit that you constantly spread all over the fucking internet. And the way that you're constantly like going off on J.K. Rowling. And then complaining. Are they arguing in my chat? No, they're in my comments. Look. This is what I've been talking about for the last like 10 minutes. Keep up. They constantly add J.K. Rowling and then complain the few times that she responds. It's called crybullying. You're a crybully. You're a loser. I mean every word I say. You're a loser. And you're stupid. You are both of those things. Congrats. There we go. I need to go start making some food. I think I need to get some... Oh, no, I don't need to get cooking oil. I think Charlie said she'd get me some. Wait, I'll just refresh it one more time, actually. I'm peaked now. My interest has been peaked. Crybully shit. Exactly. Based. Good take, Martin. Great take. Another classic Martin Chu moment. Crazy. What the fuck is he doing? We were just fucking around. I wouldn't call that bastard. Listen, Martin, you don't even know me. You have lots of opinions. This is what happens when you put yourself out there. People have lots of opinions about me. Everyone knows your dead name is Gary. True, but it's Martin now, because you make a lot of assumptions that aren't true. But yeah, there we go. Little fun extra thing going on. It's fun. I love it. Anyway, I gotta get some food going. I gotta whatever the fuck else. I love you all. Thank you so much for watching. It's been fun. I might be off all weekend, so you might be seeing me next on Monday. Hopefully that Brianna Wu Blaire White thing will be fun. I love you all. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Have a good evening. Whatever you're doing. Bye.